We're in circles. We Oh God, I was gonna say something worse. Anyway.
I feel like we're eyeballs.
We are. We're looking at you. We got our eyes on you. But I am joined, guys. I am Kelsey. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a longtime viewer, which I see a lot of you guys in the chat, hello. I will get to comments, so do not fear. But I wanted to introduce that I am joined by my friend Kat. We're back with a movie chat. I'm so excited.
Me too. We have not had one in quite a while. I love our chats about movies.
I do too. Guys, if you're new, like I said, Kat and I, we've been talking about movies on and off my channel since I decided to switch from talking wrestling to talking about pop culture stuff. So a very long time. We're talking about for years. And some years, Kat and I would do more chats. And then the last couple of years, since we're both so busy with our channels, our chats have been a little more sparse. So it's really nice that you made the time to come on with me, Kat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm excited. I appreciate you wanting to do it. So, yeah.
We're movie buddies.
Yes.
Movie buddies for life. Even though, we both have book channels, we still love movies.
We actually, I think, bonded over movies, honestly, before we bonded over books.
We did. Even back in WIS days when we first met. So definitely over movies, first and foremost.
Yeah, because I do have a love of movies, and especially horror movies.
We're going to talk about what we watch, guys. We're going to talk about our favorites, our least favorites, and we've got a few movies in common that we will discuss a little bit in depth, but there will be no spoilers for all of the movies today. However, we will have a future chat about one specific movie, which we will reveal later, that will have spoilers. And this will be at a future time. We're thinking in December. So more to come on that, but we're going to get started, say hello to the people in the chat, and then we'll dive into some things like cat stats, my stats, etc. So let's just say hello. Travis, hello. Kat and I's good friend, Travis, is here. I'm so excited to talk movies with everybody. Also, if you're in the chat right now, I would love to know what you guys watched for Halloween, how many movies total, and if you have a favorite and or a least favorite, let us know in the comments so that we can interact with that. And also, as we talk about our movies, let us know if you have watched that same movie before and what you thought about it. Hi, Andrew. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. Melissa, Amy, so many wonderful faces here. I'm so excited. Hi, Tanya. So great to see everybody. Oh, this is sweet. Oh, that's so sweet, Travis. Oh, I love all this. I love all this. Travis just watched Stop Motion today. It was one of the most weird and unsettling movies I have seen. It sounds like I need to watch this movie. Yay, glad you're doing good, Andrew. Yay. Hi, welcome. Hello. Hi, my faves. Oh, we love you. Watch 0 movies in October. Some months and some years it's like that. Do not fret. Because as sad as it is that it's gone and you miss the opportunity to watch movies in October, there's always the next October, which makes me really excited because I always get worried that Christmas of whatever year it was is going to repeat itself, where Kat and I literally watched the best Christmas horror movies ever made all at once.
That is true. That was a stellar
Yes.
Christmas horror movie marathon.
It was.
I will never forget it. It's almost like you want to go back and watch all those movies again.
I know.
Just amazing.
But the bad part of that is the next year we were like, I feel like we watched all the best ones.
Yeah, and we did have some stinkers the next year. I have to admit.
And so even now we're like kind of trying to be a little more picky with our winter movies because there are less, I would say Christmas themed horror movies than there are, I think, just like general like horror movies that people feel good about watching in October. So it's just about being a little bit more picky, which we're trying to do currently, but have no fear. Sometimes this happens where you don't get to the movies you want, but just saw Heretic in the theater. Can't wait to hear what y'all watched. I hope you enjoyed seeing that in the theater. I know. I also was going to comment something funny like we're in
Well,
Anyway,
you can comment whatever you want to comment, Kelsey, because
'cause
this is your channel.
I know, but I still want to be PG. I want to be hinged, well, semi-hinged, never fully hinged, but sometimes I want to be, semi-hinged.
The crazy thing
Hi.
is I am pretty much can be unhinged and can say some things that are not, I guess PG-13, but when I'm on my channel, I want to be respectful.
I like how you're like, you can let loose on my channel. Everyone is invited to let loose, I guess, within reason.
Yes, within reason.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. Hi, Mindy. I'm so excited to talk about movies. I feel like I really want to talk about movies so much more than I do. It's just I have all these book videos that I am trying to make, and so it's nice. The live chats are so much easier when it comes to movie talks, especially because
Mhm.
if I was going to have a pre-recorded movie video, I would freaking, pardon my French, B-roll the shit out of it. And that, like, putting movie posters up, like a lot of different movie stills from the movie, not just the poster itself, takes forever. So it's kind of nice to do it in a live bit.
Sorry about that. Andrew's moving books outside my room because I have new bookshelves that got assembled this weekend. My dad did the last 3, and so Andrew is moving his manga off of one shelf onto another shelf, and
That
he's
is so
dropping
fun.
them. So if you hear weird noises, that's what it is.
I thought it was Tootie. I was like, it's Tootie. I love Tootie.
No, and I've closed the door, so Tootie should not. Well, you might not even see the door mysteriously open as we talk
Usually
about
with our
something.
regular frame, you can see Tootie open the door, but we're in circles now. That's the
Hello,
PG version.
Alicia. So glad you're here.
It's so great to see you. I also want to see Heretic. I also want to see, what's that one with Demi Moore. I want to.
Is it Substance?
Yes, I want to see that one.
Yeah,
Really bad. Good. Oh, hi Marie. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip your comment. I hope you're having a great Sunday. I like them too. It's like I was telling Kat, it's fancy.
We're fancy.
I do think it should be a little closer together, but hey, it's fine. I should have had like a more like chaotic background. I still like it. Yay. Just watch The Curse of Bridge Hollow. Ooh. I think I've seen that. Is that a werewolf movie? Maybe I'm wrong. Watch Chubby Halloween. That one's fun.
That one is a lot of fun. I watched that last year and I loved it.
I watched that a couple of years ago. That one's a good time. Hello, Christine. It's great to see you. Watch 48 movies. You killed it. Oh my God. Got into movies so hard. Some faves: Shock with Vincent Price, Malignant, The Lost Boys, which Travis had never seen before. And he'd also never seen American Werewolf in London, which is exciting. The OG Mummy, Fright Night, and Cruel Jaws. All great. This is so exciting. I've never seen Shock. Out of all of those, I think Shock and the OG Mummy were the ones I've never seen. Hi, Heidi. Don't tempt her to bring up the Ronies. Oh, the pepperonis, yes. We kind of look like 2 pepperonis. I watched 15 movies. My favorites were She-Wolf of London, Drag Me to Hell, and Oddity. Drag Me to Hell is fun. Definitely very gross.
Mm-hmm.
So ready for holiday hell. I have so many Christmas staples to watch. I already made my holiday/winter themed watch list. I'm excited. 17 movies, says Amy. Faves were Halloween Town, which she had never seen before, Kat.
Which is awesome.
I know.
I mean, it is a classic, I think, for Halloween.
So not only did she watch it for the first time this year, but she also rewatched it again on like Halloween Day.
Aww.
Which is so cool. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yay. Hi, Annie. I was trying to make a nice heart, but it doesn't look right. I won't be able to stay long. Have bowling. Ooh, have fun at bowling. I think my favorite watch of October was The Watchers. I need to read the book now. First time watching you guys. What do you guys usually do? I usually talk about books, but sometimes horror movies. And Kat talks about books and all kinds of different books, not just like I kind of stick to horror, which with some other genres sprinkled in. But I think Kat's even a more diverse reader than myself. So Kat is linked below, by the way, everybody. If you're not subscribed to her, please subscribe. Me, I talk about all kinds of things, including nostalgia, 80s and 90s nostalgia. I want to see that so bad, Amy, too. I know. I'm dying. Everyone says it's so good. It's wild. It's like hag horror meets body horror. Definitely worth a watch. That sounds up my
Ah,
alley. I watched Halloween Town to kick off October every year. Halloween Town High is my fave. I've never seen that one. One day
I
I've got to
haven't seen
watch
that one either.
both. I've only
Mm-mm.
seen the first one. I love Halloween Town. I'm still upset the last one they changed the actress who played Marnie, which is sad. Watched 12. My faves were Beetlejuice, which I have not seen yet, Haunt, and Halloween Town. I've since seen that there are lots of spin offs of Halloween Town, so I will watch them too. Yay, Tanya. That's great. All right, so now that we're caught up on comments, I want to get into stats before we kind of dive into some in common movies that we watched. Kat, I'm going to let you take it away and you give us, your favorites, least favorites, your totals of the month, like how many overall you watched, anything you want to do to say. It's all yours. Take it away.
The pressure.
The
Um,
pressure.
well, honestly, I did not watch a whole lot of movies for Halloween. I just, was delayed and, getting started or getting prepped or whatever you want to say. I mean, I actually did watch a movie on the first day of October, but I just felt like I had a mixed bag of movies. Like I feel like I needed to put a little more thought into what I was going to watch. It's not like I don't have things in my queue to watch. It was just like, I guess, poor planning on my part, and then also trying to take my husband into consideration.
That's
So,
always a problem for me
well, it
with
is.
Paul.
It's trying to, because he's on a schedule. He very rarely can we ever watch a movie together. So I feel like, okay, let me let you pick what we want to watch. So anyway, that all to say that I only watched 11 movies during Halloween. I was reading a lot and doing activities so that it's hard to balance, during the spooky season. But of the 11 movies, I had 10 new watches and one rewatch. And I was on the fence, and I'm still on the fence about one, and we'll talk about that when we get to why I'm on the fence.
Yes.
It's the kind of movie that I really feel like I can't even rank with the movies that I watched because it's so different, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
It does.
Um, and my favorite movie of the season is actually my rewatch, which was the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark from 2019. I love that movie, and for so many reasons, but that was my favorite. And my least favorite was a Norwegian film called Viking Wolf. And
Oh.
yeah, it was one that you and I did not watch together. It just I can't say anything else but that it was boring. It's just, I mean, out of everything that happened in the movie, the transition into the wolf was probably about the most exciting, but like the storyline wasn't great, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know. It was just hard to connect with it. And if you could DNF a movie, I probably should have DNF'd it, but
Yeah.
it was sort of like it wasn't a really long movie to begin with. So it was just like, well, maybe it'll get better towards the end. But yeah. Anyway, that was my fave and my least fave. And we're not ranking yet though, huh?
No, we don't have to rank, but I
Until
mean,
end, right?
in terms of our top 5 overall favorites, yeah, we could save that to the end. Let me
Okay.
give let me give my stats really fast. I'm gonna stop.
Okay.
This was the picture of Kat's watches here.
Yes, as you can see, not many.
We've got a good mixed bag. A lot of them we got a family film here. We've got a random movie that we both watched over here.
Well, and that's the thing about it too is I don't think many of my movies were what I would call super scary or
Right.
so quite a few of them are comedy horror and good in that respect that you get the horror element and it's a slasher or whatever and it's really good, but they have also that comedic part to it, and that's why I say it's a mixed bag. And then I have a couple that are like more family friendly. So I don't know, it was an odd year for me, which
And it's really hard to compare movies against each other when they are
yes,
such different types of horror. It's one thing if you're watching all really scary movies. But when you're mixing family friendly with horror comedy with actual like truly scary movies, it gets really hard to kind of make a list of, well, I like this one the best, or I like this one better than this one. Well, it's hard to say that when they're completely different, like apples and oranges.
Yes, and that's why for Christmas, I always have 2 lists. I have my 12, horror movies for Christmas or, the holidays. It's not necessarily all Christmas, but then I have my 12 like traditional family or maybe an action thriller kind of movie. I have my 2 lists divided, so it's a little bit easier, and I'm almost wondering if I should do the same thing for my Halloween list in the future. Or
You
if
could.
or if I do my movies and I can balance them to where within my list, I rank my, lighter Halloween films with my darker ones.
Well, yeah, because when we go through our like tops, I've got favorite new watches and favorite rewatches. And to me, a lot of the rewatches are the family friendly because a lot of that I've already seen before, inevitably. Because, I might have grown up watching it, or, not all the time, but a lot of times those are movies I've already seen. So I like to do favorite new, favorite rewatches. But
Mhm.
I think you could do favorite like light Halloweeny movies, and then favorite horror, scary movies, or pure
Mhm.
horror, or
Mhm.
whatever you want to label it like in the
Yeah, because
future.
I really do feel like most of my movies were like in the latter, not
Right.
super creepy, scary, and I even tried to convince my dad to go see a really scary movie when we went to the movies together. And he was like, I really don't like scary movies. I was like, what? What? What do you mean? I mean, you were the one that was taking me to all these scary movies as a kid. Like,
Yeah, like why didn't you like them if you're taking me to them?
So I don't know. Like I said, it was a mixed bag. I mean, I had a decent enough time. Some of them landed better than others, as we'll see.
Yeah, as we will talk about, because we are going to talk about some of them. So let me just catch up with the chat before I go through my stats and numbers. Let's see. Mindy's here saying she watched 10 movies during Halloween-a-thon, which is great. And I think that's good progress. Need to make a Halloween-a-thon list on Letterboxd. I love looking at Letterboxd lists. I love it. Bubba Ho Temp is so good and silly. Monster Club, I also love. We will be talking in depth without spoilers, though, but still pretty in depth about both of these movies today, along with some others. So stay tuned because we will be talking about both. My favorites were The Substance and Infested. Awesome, Mindy. We were just saying how we want to watch The Substance. Letterboxd is an awesome site where you can keep track of the movies you watch, or you can make lists of movies you want to watch. You can rank movies, or not rank, you can rank movies in a list, or you can rate movies individually, like with stars. It's really fun. You can even review movies on there. I just use it to make lists of movies I want to watch a lot of
Yeah, the
times.
same. That's what I do is keep track of the movies that I
Yeah,
watch.
I just like it for that reason. Otherwise, I think it would take too much time for me to use it like I use my Goodreads, where I don't really like review them because that would just take so long. Like I'd rather just,
Yeah, I don't
I don't know.
review my movies. I'll put star ratings, but even like that was kind of hard this time, like putting star ratings. It's like, am I losing my touch with the star ratings?
It's such
Is it
a battle
necessary? Well, it
sometimes.
is. It's just so
A
subjective.
mental.
It's so subjective. And I heard Jack, when I attended the FOMO book club, she doesn't really rate her books any longer on Goodreads because she was like, that's the rating that I have. I hate for somebody to see that I gave something 5 stars and then they read it and was like, why? It was so dumb or whatever. But really and truly, your star rating is for you personally, I
It
think,
is. It is.
but at least on,
Lauren from Happy Haunts Library stopped rating. She just kind of says, I forgot the words, but she basically is like, oh, it was enjoyable. Like it's like 3 different words she uses. It's either this,
mhm,
or that,
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
So I do like that, but I like, because I know what my ratings mean to me. I feel comfortable, especially rating books. Rating movies, for some reason, I don't struggle as much. It's just weird. It's weird how I think of them as 2 different things to
Well, I
rank
know you don't
and
put your
rate.
star rating on Letterbox
I
though.
don't, because when you make a list, if you rate it, the movie, it'll show it as you've definitely watched the movie. You can't unwatch it if it has a rating. So I like to like click the unwatch button, so it shows me you've watched this many of this many movies, so you have done 45% of your list. I like that,
Ah,
but it's not
okay.
accurate if you've got movies in your list that you've already seen and you've rated. Once you rate it, you either have to unrate it or to click on that you've not watched it
Yeah, I see.
before.
I see what I
It's
see.
very
That
dumb
does make
reason,
sense.
but
That
that's
is.
why I
Well,
don't rate.
no, but I mean it's a way for you to keep track how you keep track. But
Right,
it doesn't mean that you
exactly.
don't rate movies.
I rate them in my head and in my heart. 6 is still better
Mhm.
than, better than nothing, but I know we've had friends who've gotten to 0, and that's okay too.
Mhm.
Everyone has different Octobers. Mr. Boogedy, I have seen that one as well, and that one is fun. It's
It
silly.
is
It's very silly, but fun.
very.
Hi. Hi, excited to be here. Didn't watch as many movies this spooky season as I wanted, so I'm ready to hear about yours. I think Smile 2 is my favorite, which was surprising. I will say, Smile 2, the trailer looks really good, and I didn't really love Smile, the first movie, so I'm kind of intrigued and I'm kind of wanting to see the second one, which surprises me. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Amanda. 22 movies. Oh, you killed it. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
you
It's
rocked
an
it.
app, but also a website. So either
Mhm.
or.
And it's free. It's free,
Mhm.
Liz. So there's a paid subscription, but then what we use is the free version.
Exactly. Smile 2 was unexpectedly terrific. That's exciting. Like, I do want to see that movie. Hi, Mike. Sometimes just rate in my journal for movies and not on Letterboxd. Yeah, like, I'm not going to officially rate there, but I did. I think I did. Oh, I didn't. I thought I had put it in my journal spread, but I didn't for the movies. I just kind of put quotes, which I enjoyed doing. Yes, Terrifier 3 is gory. We are going to talk about Terrifier 3 today in depth, but not spoilers. We are going to have a future chat about Terrifier 3 with spoilers, which I'm
Yes.
excited about. Speaking of the person who got me movie obsessed, Mike got to 15 movies, 5 of which were the Halloween franchise. I love the Halloween franchise, so I think that is time well spent, Mike. I think Smile 2 is better than 1, and people seem to like the second one if they didn't like the first one. That makes me excited. Oh, you have no idea how happy that makes me, Mike says, about Travis getting into movies. Smile 2 was fun. I went to the theater to see Terrifier with my oldest niece, and they wouldn't let her in. Oh no! So we saw Smile 2 instead, and I enjoyed it much more than the first. I'm so glad. I definitely want to see it. Yeah, the smile part freaks me out, but other
Yes,
parts of
it
the movie
does.
didn't.
Ugh.
Terrifier 3 is my favorite movie of 2024, certified banger. That is awesome. So my numbers quickly, and then we'll get into the in-depth stuff. So originally I had 50 movies on my list. So we go into the readathon, watchathon. I planned to watch 50 movies. I knew I wasn't going to get to that many. And it's okay because I still overall did really well and I'm very pleased. So I ended up watching 30 movies off of that 50 movie list. And then I also watched 2 movies that were not originally on the list. So that gives me a total of 32 movies watched.
Wow.
And I'm actually very happy with that. So keep in mind, I did not just watch movies in October. What Kat and I are talking about is the start of Halloween-a-thon, which was the first day of fall, which is when I started my marathon. So keep in mind that although I did get to a good number, I started in September and I had a few days in October. I didn't watch anything, but I was still able to get to that, beyond 31 number because a lot of people do 31 and 31. So technically, I did not watch a movie a day in October, but I'm still very happy with my progress because like Kat, I was reading and doing things on top of watching. So you got to try to balance it all, and it can be hard. In addition to the 32 movies, I did watch 2 TV episodes. So, not much when it comes to thematic TV, but 2 little episodes. One was an old school Are You Afraid of the Dark? And one was Rocco, a Halloween episode of Rocco called Sugar Frosted Frights, I think is the name of the episode. But I loved the movies I watched. They were a lot of fun. And the 2 that weren't on my list originally, by the way, were Longlegs and All Hallows Eve. All Hallows Eve was the first movie that features Art the Clown, and it was a rewatch for me. Our friend Amy, who's in the chat, decided to play it on our Discord as a watch party, and I wasn't anticipating staying for the whole watch party, but once I was kind of saying hello to everybody in the chat, I kind of got sucked in, so that's why it wasn't originally on my list, is because I didn't feel like I needed to rewatch it. I was like, oh, whatever. I just got sucked in, and it happened. I just was like, okay, I'm putting it on the list then, since I got sucked in and I watched it. We're not going to go through favorites in terms of our top 5 and stuff. So I will tell you my very favorite movie was a movie called Inferno, directed by Dario Argento, which I loved. It was super colorful and really artistic, which basically all of Dario Argento's movies are like. So that was number 1 for me very easily. It is a slow burn. I don't know if everyone would like it as much as me, but that was my number 1. And my number 1 favorite rewatch was the movie Possession from 1980. I love that movie so much. I could do a whole chat about that movie. I want to do one with my friend Jen over at Literary Love 123 because she is so academic when it comes to talking about horror, and I think she'd be a great person to talk about it with. So, in the future, look out. I will be rewatching it again at some point, and I would love to do a chat with her about it. So, stay tuned for that. That could be a good time and something to look forward to. So, Kat, I didn't know if you wanted to give like a top 5. Like, are you going to rank all 11 of your movies at the end?
I was just going to rank my 10. I mean, I'm not going to,
Top 10.
I'm not putting that one in there. So I just put them my top 10. But I mean, if you only want me to give me the 5, I can do that too. I mean, they're in a list.
Do that at the end. You can do your whole ranking of 10 because I basically have 10 because I'm doing rewatches and 5 rewatches, 5 new watches. Total, that's 10. So I will say that I had a movie that was my least favorite, or 2 movies tied as my least favorite. Let me just look at my list to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I'll show you guys. Hold on, share this tab. So here's my long ass list, pardon my French. You could see some of this stuff when it comes to anything after the movie Halloween is stuff I didn't get to. So all of this stuff down here in the last couple of rows, I did not get to those sadly, but my least favorite, it's a tie between Scary Movie from 1991, which is this one with like the pink looking dude right here. I did not like that movie. And it's tied with The Hills Have Eyes, the original from 1977. I love the remake from the 2000s. That movie is a longtime favorite of mine. But the original, I gotta say, it's crazy how much less scary the original is. But it was cool to watch. I don't regret it in the sense that it was fun to compare what they kept in the movie and also what they changed when they remade it many years later. So it was still interesting, still worthwhile. Even Scary Movie, my other least fave, was worthwhile in a way. And it was a fun watch party experience. So I will talk more about my top 5 and other top 5 at the end after we go through our common movies. All right, so Kat, do you have a preference with which in common movie you want to start with?
No, it doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, it's up to you. Do you want me to just make that, tell them about my one little tidbit about a movie that I watched before we start that? Yes. Okay, I have that. And also I did want to say, I did watch the episode of The Haunted Mask, a Goosebumps. I did that because of Fall Bookish Bingo, but that was pretty much the only TV show that I watched during the spooky season. But I wanted to mention that. That is a fave of mine. I think it's super creepy.
Yeah, I love that 2-parter episode. I think it's so well done. It's like actually creepy for a kid's thing. And upon rewatch as an adult, I'm like, wow, they really go there. And those masks, like they looked so creepy. They did such a great job with the design of the haunted mask itself too.
Yes, I agree.
Like they picked the perfect creepy face and the creepy look for that book. So such a great
atmosphere and everything for it. It just, it's just
like the leaves, because it is set during Halloween. So it's so good.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes, so good. I just wanted to mention that one of the movies that I did watch was We Have a Ghost, and it's a 2023 movie on Netflix. And it really did get a lot of mixed reviews with critics and all that. But I actually kind of liked it. And for a couple of reasons, because it was set in Louisiana, even though it was not set in Louisiana. Let me take that back. It's set somewhere else, but it was filmed in Louisiana. And it was neat being able to kind of spot some things or places that kind of look familiar. And then finding out that they shot in Donaldsonville, which is like around Ascension Parish, and then in New Orleans. and they were filming in August of 2021, and their production got stopped because of Hurricane Ida, which Kelsey and I were both affected by that. And they
We
didn't
hate
get to, yes, we hate
Hurricane Ida.
Ida.
We hate Ida so much, especially cats. We hate
Yes.
Ida.
But anyway, they did they were able to get back to filming, but because of the hurricane, they had to shoot mainly like in Ascension Parish. But what is also kind of neat about the film is that Anthony Mackie was in it. He plays the father, and he is a Louisiana native. So I just love when we see our Louisiana folks in a film doing good, kind of thing. So I just wanted to mention that, that was a film that I had on my list. And when I finally got to see it, it just had a little something, something extra.
I'm so glad you gave. I love your tidbits. Everyone knows Kat comes with the facts. She comes with the tidbits. She is the queen of tidbits, I should say. Honestly, she really is. And I do want to mention I have a little it's not a fun fact. It's not a good tidbit like Kat's, but I did forget Kat has a movie she's torn on, which we're going to talk in depth about in a second, but I have a movie I was torn on as well. And I don't know how to feel, and I don't know how to rate it at all. And I feel like there's something that I can consume that will affect how I feel about it as well. So that movie is The Lords of Salem, directed by Rob Zombie. And I discovered after watching it, I watched it with Paul, and we both kind of felt the same. We were underwhelmed, although visually it's beautiful and amazing. Storytelling wise, it kind of lagged pacing wise for me. And also I wanted more heavier of dialogue, heavier plots. But there were other parts that I loved, like our favorite, one of our favorite actresses, me and you, Kat, we both love Dee Wallace. Dee Wallace, it was in it, and she was fan-freaking-tastic, and I love her. We've talked about her in the past.
Yes, I love her. I mean, I think she does a phenomenal job in Cujo as well as in The Howling. Those are two of my favorite movies with her. Although she's popped up in other movies like The House of the Devil.
I love her. Like, that's like a 2-minute cameo, but I'm like,
Yeah, but
Dee
still, it's
Wallace.
like any little time you get to see a snippet of her in action. But yeah, I mean, there's other movies too that she's really great in, but the two that stand out for me are The Howling and Cujo.
I really think, I don't know if you would like the movie. I think you'd feel the same about the movie as me, The Lords of Salem, but I do think you would like her performance. I think
Hmm.
you'd be very impressed with her performance because a lot of times she just plays a mom, and this is not that. I'm
Oh.
saying she plays a mom really great. I'm not trying to, downplay her roles. I'm just saying she has done a lot of memorable mom type
Oh,
of
also
roles.
E.T. I can't
Yeah,
believe I forgot
she's
about
a mom
E.T.
in ET. She's a mom in she's not a mom in, well, she is a mom in House of the Devil. She talks about her
Hmm.
daughter and how the girl reminds her of her daughter. So she's a mom in a lot of things, but she's not just a mom in The Lords of Salem. However, I'm just so torn on it because it was hard for me to absorb, but there is a novelization co-written by Rob Zombie, and I want to read it. And I'm giving you guys all a sneak preview of this right now. I've already made my list of book club choices for my book club for all of next year. And I can tell you that my official November pick for November 2025 is the Lords of Salem novelization. And I think what I'm going to do is next Halloween, I will rewatch the Lords of Salem and, or no, I'm not going to do that. Scratch that. I'm going to reverse it. When I go to read it for the book club in November, I'm going to rewatch the movie, and that'll give me enough time to where I could have done it sooner, but I want more time away from the movie before I rewatch it.
Well, that was one reason why I didn't pick that one for us to watch together, because
Yes.
you said about the novelization. So
So if you want
perhaps
to
I
watch
will
it next
perhaps I
year,
will pick up the book also and then watch the movie.
so yes, next November, if you guys want to pencil in my book club pick, it is the Lords of Salem novelization, November 2025. And I will be talking, I want to do specifically a book and movie chat about it
Mm.
afterwards, specifically. Because I am bringing back my live chats, which I failed this year, but that is my little torn one. But we will see if anything changes in a year. That's a
Right.
long time to wait, but we will see. Whatever.
Ah.
All right, Kat, what movie shall we kick it off with?
Um, do we want to go with like our mutually least favorite
I
one?
feel like I don't know. It's up to everyone in the chat. Do you guys want us to save Terrifier 3 for last? Because to me, that's the one I have the most to say about. I know Kat has a lot to say about it in general. Let's do Terrifier 3 last. I think that's the big one. So let's start with any other thing. You want to start with Scary Movie, since I think that's the one you
Yeah,
say.
I think that's the one that you and I mutually probably feel the same with.
Yes, let's do
about.
that. 1991 was the release year. I know that's my only tidbit for that one. I don't know if you have any more, but
I do. I'm looking for my notes on it. Where are my notes? I know I took notes on it.
let me.
I have two. I have two books. I have my little log book here,
I
and
gave
then
her
I
that.
also have some notes. Yes, I love it that she gave that to me.
I love that you used it.
That
I will
was
at least give the synopsis to people who haven't seen it. It says Scary Movie from 1991. Fear is a state of mind. On Halloween night, big time nerd Warren attends a spook house in a small Texas town. But is the haunted house as harmless as it seems, or has a psychotic mental patient found a new stomping ground? That is the premise. We're not going to give away spoilers, so I want to give some context in case people haven't seen it. But that is the movie we're discussing really quick. And Kat, if you found your notes, you can take it away at any time.
Yes, for this one, I'm so glad. I will honestly say, and I believe Amy was the one that showed this movie for us. So thank you, Amy,
Thank you,
because
Amy.
I'm so glad, because it actually earned a half star just because we did it as a watch party.
The watch party
people,
elevates any bad movie.
Yes. And I put that in my notes. I put earned half star for watching with friends online. So people will understand why it's got that extra half star. But really, the ratings for this on IMDb is a 4.9 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes, it's 40%. Okay, so that just kind of gives you a little bit of how people feel about it in general. The director is Daniel Erickson, which I don't know anything else by Daniel Erickson. So whatever he directed before, like I had not seen anything or heard of anything.
Yeah, I looked up his past movies. It's nothing that like is familiar to me.
Right. That was the same with me. To me, the best part of the entire movie is that John Hawkes is in it, and he's the main character, who is Warren. And only because when I discovered who he was, like how much he's been, in film and television, I was like, I know that guy. I know who he is.
Right.
And I remember him from Winter's Bone and remember his character from that. That was a really great movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I probably should rewatch it. It's one that kind of put, I think, Jennifer Lawrence on the map.
Yeah.
Because it was one of her earlier movies, or one that she got recognized for her acting chops. But the thing about John Hawkes is he's been in quite a few movies, quite a few TV shows.
I mean, you look at this list of movies alone. Look how long this list, I've been scrolling for a while just to show people how long his filmography is.
Yes, he has had a really great career, and he has been nominated for an Academy Award. He's been nominated for 2 Primetime Emmys, as well as 1 Golden Globe.
Yeah.
So the man knows how to act. And at first I thought, maybe this is this man's very first movie he's ever been in. No. I think he's been acting since like 1985 or 1986. And this was 1991. So it's one of his earlier roles.
Right.
But I have to say, his facial features, like all his facial expressions, not features, but the expressions were hilarious to me. Like,
they were
really
hilarious.
Good.
And I will say, it was, like Amy says, it was interesting to see him so young and and kind of unpolished-ish. Or maybe that's just the way he decided to play the role. I don't know, but
Or unless the director told him you have to play it this way.
Yeah,
sometimes actors, especially early on, they don't get a say in how they're going to do something.
Right, exactly. That's true. And that could have definitely been the case, but it's just so surprising looking at this list of movies and then having seen that movie, I was like,
Yes, but also too, I mean, I do think even though the movie was super goofy and just I thought it was kind of a little bit long and drawn out. It took them forever to get into the haunted house attraction. Once they got into the haunted house attraction, it was a little bit better. Like I was like, okay, now we're going to get some action. But I just found that some of the characters were just obnoxious. Poor Warren is having to, he's got all these fears and he's basically being peer pressured at his age, which I thought was hilarious, at his age to go into this haunted house. He's so fearful.
Was he
He's got,
supposed to be a teenager?
I don't
Or a young
know.
adult? That's the part I think that kind of threw me off, is because as a young adult, I was like, this guy like is really scared and he's being pressured.
Well,
And also all of his friends are jerks.
yes, but they seem like they were either late high school or early college. I don't
Yeah.
even know if we were ever really told. That's a kind of the area, but it was sort of like, Warren, why are you friends with these people? But
They were
also,
terrible.
I do think that the film, whether it meant to have this as an underlying topic or social commentary or whatever, but like mental health did play a part in this. I
Mhm.
mean, so it's sort of like you had something there, but then I don't know. And it's considered comedy horror. So there's parts of it that's supposed to be funny. And of course, you have the laughing man who is credited as the laughing man.
I loved the laughing man. I will say every time he laughed, it was gold.
Oh my
So
gosh.
laughing man, goal accomplished. You killed it with your laugh. And I
Yeah.
do love how he was credited as legit the laughing man. Amy says, I'd be so interested to hear how he got roped into the film. Not the laughing man, of course.
Right.
The actor who plays our
Yes,
main
John
character.
Hawkes.
Yes.
Right.
Like, is that something he auditioned for? And Mike likes him for his brief scene in the Miami Vice movie, loves small town crime so much.
Yeah, and now it's like, since I've seen the movie, this is the one thing I do love about seeing an actor that I've seen in something here or there, and then see them in something early on, and then it's like, I don't know if this happens to you. Sometimes they start popping up in your periphery, but it's like now that I kind of know some other things that he's been in that I've missed out on, it's like, I really want to check him out in these other movies or
Yeah.
roles. Especially, I would love to see what he was getting nominated for these awards, because he's actually won some awards for different films as well. But to be nominated for these prestigious film awards is amazing to me.
Yeah.
Considering where he started. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like I always say, there are people, I'm an actor, and there are bad movies out there, like not well done, low budget, whatever the case. People have to get started somewhere. And it always cracks me up when I'm around people or hear people that say, oh, I could be a much better actor in that film. And it's like, you think that. But if you actually had to go do it, it's not that easy. Even
And
a
there's all these
bad,
circumstances,
right.
surrounding the performance. It's not just the performance. Like you said, the director could have said, I want you to play it this way. I want you to be over the top, ridiculously scared. And not to
Yes.
mention, it's kind of hard to sell a lot of this when the haunt that they're going through in the movie could have been so much cooler. Obviously, they probably didn't have a great budget,
Well, that's what
but
I'm saying. It was a low budget. Then also, too, you have to realize a film gets edited. So there are scenes that might have been better, worse, whatever.
I
And
think there was a pacing issue, specifically with the
yes.
editing. You could tighten it a lot
Yeah,
through the
so
editing
there's just a
process.
lot of things that go into it. And yes, while it seems like it would be easy to do that, unless you've actually ever been on a film set or you've actually been on a stage to perform, it's not as easy as you would think.
Right, right.
Kind of
See,
thing.
like, when it was fun, it like, with the laughing guy, it was fun.
Yes.
When it tried to be scary, it really didn't work for me, and then at the end, no spoilers, but it does go in a crazy direction, a
Yes.
thought-provoking, weird direction. It kinda leaves you baffled with how to absorb the entire thing as a
Well,
whole.
and I put
So
that
it's kind of a
down.
conundrum of a movie, in my opinion.
Yes, that's what I put down. Comedy turned serious at the end. It's like, so then I'm like, I
Yeah.
do kind of see like there's a thread kind of weaving in there that kind of leads to, but you're not really emphasizing that. And so it's like, had we gotten a little more insight, but there were just some scenes that I just thought were like so ridiculous. And some of the practical effects were kind of funny as well. And I don't know. I mean, I just put that I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I put that it was just okay.
I
It
would
was too
call it just
long.
okay as well,
It was
and I think
too
a lot of
long, and
people
I would
agree.
never watch it again.
Yeah, I think once is enough for this one as well, and I will say, if we look at the ratings here, I've pulled up the Letterboxd page. Let me zoom in one more time. There we go. So Katrina gave it 3 stars. Then we've got Amy, who mysteriously leaves it unrated. We want to know your rating, Amy.
We
No, I'm
want to
just
know,
kidding.
Amy. Tell us, please.
Melissa, I believe this is, gave it 2.5. Crystal gave it 2.5. Here's Kat. I'm spoiling your your rating, but looks like you gave it 2.5. And honestly, I would probably agree with that rating as well.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the half star that I gave it is because of the watch party. So otherwise, it would have been a
I
2-star
really do,
watch
and
for me.
Amy even says, like, a watch party kind of makes anything better. Yeah,
Oh
she says the
yes.
watch party experience definitely made it much more fun. I really think it elevates any movie. And Amy clarifies here, I didn't know how to rate it, so I just left it blank. I appreciate that because there are movies that I'm torn on too, and I'm glad that I don't rate things on Letterboxd. So I'm like, yes, no
Yeah,
one will even
because
know.
this is what ends up happening to me, and I don't know if this is the same for Amy, is that you go ahead and you rate a movie a certain amount of stars or whatever, and then a movie comes along and it might not be quite as bad as the other movie you rated in that area, but it's not really quite as good as the bump up. So it's sort of like, what do I do? What do I do?
I
Because
know.
it wasn't as bad as this one, and I rated that as a 2, but it wasn't as good as this movie that was
Then
like
you
a
start to
3.
box yourself in on what to do. You're like, no, what
And
do
then
I
it's so
do?
silly at the end of the day because honestly, it's just what I think. But
I
when you're in a
know.
conundrum about it with
I know.
yourself, it's like, oh my goodness.
Hi, Arlene. It's so great to see
Hey,
you.
Arlene. Woohoo.
Yeah, Mike, I would have loved to have known what you would think about this
Yes.
movie because, yeah, especially the ending. I'm telling you, it ends like very, in a very weird way.
Yes, extremely weird. And you're just like, you're scratching your head like, oh my gosh, like, how do we get here? How do we go from the beginning and going through this haunted house attraction, with all this mystery and stuff going on? And then you've got like these twists and then reveals. And then you're just like, okay, well, gosh, I was having a good time until the, till the end.
Yes. Like, I maybe even would have settled on a 3, but the ending made me feel so unsure. I was like, but it's kind of interesting that it went that direction, though. So
It
I don't
is.
know.
I don't know.
We will see. I mean, I still have to think about it, but I agree with this so much. I do that all the time, end up changing ratings because when you think of other movies you rated, you're like, what do I do? I hate rating things half the time. Same. I
It
can't
does.
stand
It
it.
almost makes you want to go back and re-rate some of your movies sometimes. Like Kelsey and I, when we started watching movies together and we're like talking about movies or, going through stuff, we would set a benchmark for ourselves and we would say, okay, is it as bad as Saint? Because if it's as bad as Saint, then it's going to get this rating. But
Exactly.
if it's
Yeah.
not as bad as that, then it's going to get this rate. It was
But
sort of
then
like,
we got a new benchmark when we watched Rotten Tail. So
yes,
yeah, we had to
yes.
compare it.
It's sort of
And then
like
you were like, maybe Saint's not as bad as I remember because Rotten Tail was so bad.
it was awful. And so that's the thing. It's like, oh man, I gave Saint a half star, but Rotten Tail is it's so much worse in many aspects. Maybe I should bump Saint up and put Rotten
Yeah.
Tail as my benchmark.
It's a never ending struggle, but that's why I'm
Oh.
glad I don't rate stuff on Letterbox specifically. But like Melissa says, she doesn't rate movies either, so didn't write anything on Letterbox. I respect it because
Mhm.
I do that as well. This definitely sounds like something that would have gotten a 1.5 and a pithy remark out of me. By the way, yes, we do need to somehow follow each other on there, Mike. I guess we're gonna have to fix that. I gotta find you. Maybe a 2 out of 5, perhaps. Yeah. I just read that the director of Scary Movie hired John Hawkes because he had heard he could act, and most importantly, was in Austin at the time. So it was
Ooh.
location, location,
I
location.
love that tidbit.
Yes, thank
Yay.
you, Erie. Oh, I don't know how to rate movies.
Oh.
Well, I'm torn too. So I don't like. I know how physically to do it on the app, but I don't know how I really want to. I will say, people joke about how a 3-star from me means I hated the book, but a 3-star movie is like I had a good time. It was decent. So
Yeah,
for like
but
movies, I'm like a 3 doesn't mean the same for me as a book.
yeah, and actually for books, sometimes a 3-star is not that it's 3-star for me on a book is like it just kind of missed something for me. Like it could have been half good and half not so good. There were things that I liked about it, but other things that I didn't. So it's kind of like just middle of the road.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a
to me,
3.
a 3, a flat 3, it was for me. It was just okay. A three and a
Yeah.
half, it was like a little bit more good than just okay. Like it was leaning towards the good scale. And 4 is almost like solid.
Right,
Not
right.
middle of the
Yeah,
road, but like
4s
solid,
and
not
5s.
anything like incredible, but solid.
Mhm.
So my movie ratings are a lot different though for some
Yeah,
reason.
mine
Like a
are
4
too.
is like I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. 4.5 is like, oh, it's not an all-time favorite, but I'd rewatch it most likely. So like for me, like 4, 4.5, 5 movies are all really, really good. Even a 3.5 is good for a movie because sometimes like I feel weird about rating certain movies like a kid's movie. I don't know what to rate it. I might rate it a 3.5
Mhm.
in my mind. It's like a movie that I actually really enjoy. Is it actually good? No, but I really still enjoy it somehow.
Exactly. I know how you feel. I feel sometimes I kind of cut more slack for the movie than I do the book, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. I might have to like reflect on that. Like, is it movies or books that I kind of like cut a little more slack with?
It's
I don't
coming
know.
back to haunt you again, Kat. My line is
I wish everyone, I wish that I could somehow have the Men in Black forget o meter thing that they had. I forgot what they call it. And that I could just like zap everybody that we ever watched Ugly Sweater Party.
you'll never live it down at this point.
Because honestly, Saint was better than Ugly Sweater Party.
Ugly Sweater Party was so bad. We better stop talking about it, or Amy will be like, "I want to watch it just to
No,
see."
Amy, never watched that movie. Never,
But like that
never.
part of me is like, "You should just to
I want her
see."
to still be my friend.
Oh, she would. Of course, she would always still be your friend.
Oh my gosh.
Andrew, that's great. Is it worse than Silent Madness? I
Well,
liked
I've
Silent
never seen
Madness.
Silent Madness, so I can't say. Hey, how go?
Helgo! Also, I think, did I forget to say hello? Where did Tanya go? I think she was in here. I know we had another late comer. Where'd you go? Oh, here you are. I didn't know why I didn't see your comment. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. Amy says, I do want to see it. Oh, gosh. I don't think I was around for Ugly Sweater Party. Yeah, that was before you. It was like 2 years ago when we did this watch party. Back when I used to run an event, kind of like Holiday Hell, but it was called Christmas Evil. So it was so bad.
Yes, well, I found it. I obviously didn't do enough research. You know what really swayed me was because Felissa Rose was in it, and she was
Yes.
from Sleepaway Camp, and I'm like, okay, let's like, check it out. And it had Ugly Sweater Party, which was very fitting for our theme.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Didn't quite work out the way we
It
thought, but
didn't. I
it was
wish I
still
could,
fun.
if I could go back in time. If I could go back in time.
Yeah, you still
What
gotta
is that
watch it.
song? If I could turn back time.
If I could turn back time, if I could. Anyway, forget it. Oh my god, it's on
Oh
Amy's list for December. This is so scary. It was the
my gosh.
first Saint. It's like a horror Christmas movie.
Yes, you
Saint.
can find if you're on Letterbox and you check out my horror movies. I think it was the first year we did it.
It
No, it wasn't the first year
was.
we did it. It was no,
Yeah,
because remember
it
our
was the
first
good year. I
year.
thought.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the good year. It was the
I
year
thought
of
it was because
Christmas
I loved
Evil.
Christmas Evil. That was the first year. I
Yeah, we
loved
didn't.
Christmas Evil, but I couldn't finish Saint that year because I fell asleep,
Oh
and then
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah. For
read.
Saint, that's right. I'm thinking Ugly Christmas. You see that Ugly Sweater Party thing is like turning my brain to
looming.
mush.
It's you're like, I can't even take it. Okay,
Its
so Saint
tentacles are in my
is
brain.
from 2010, in case anyone's wondering which movie
Yeah,
Saint is.
and I think honestly, Saint has a couple of different names.
It
It's
does.
so you have
Alternate
to make
titles,
sure.
Saint
Yeah.
Nick, O Santo. Yeah, it's got a couple of different alternate titles, including foreign titles, because it is a foreign movie. I
Mhm.
will say, people in high school in class exchange presents. They open them and they're dildos. That's all you need to know. That's why I was like, what? Like, kind of
Yeah,
school is this?
I don't even think you finished Saint, Kelsey, honestly.
I didn't. I fell asleep. Oh, I removed you. Freaking Saint is messing with my mind. Saint.
Oh,
Oh, you
Saint.
liked it? See, it's on a lot of best of lists, but
Oh yeah, so you see, yeah, it's different. It is. That's how we found it. That's
yeah,
the whole reason we put
yeah,
it
it
on
is.
our list was because it was ranked as one of the best Christmas horror movies.
Now you're
Oh.
making the movie sound fun with the
Well,
dildos.
I will say there are some scenes in Saint that are kind of disturbing, how people are killed, or like the actual, entity saint that comes to kill people or whatever. And there's a
Maybe I should
backstory and
actually watch
lore
it this
and
year,
all that kind
Kat.
of stuff. You
Maybe
should,
I should
but
finish it.
there's some elements that are like, creepy. That's what I'm saying. Once we started watching some other movies, it was sort of like, really? Can I really give Saint this, this score compared? Oh.
For the longest, my benchmark was Limitless. Felicia Rosewood wrote me in to give it a go too, so I get it. See, there you go. Silent
Yeah.
Madness was a blast with the gang. Like I said, watch parties always make stuff
Yeah.
better.
I
So
agree.
that was Scary Movie. I don't have any more thoughts to add unless
I
you
don't
do.
either.
All right, let's move on to our next one. Which one do you want to go to next? I will let you pick again.
Oh, gee, thank you. The pressure.
Well, I mean, the
Okay.
notes are all on your end, so I want you to have an easy time with your notes.
Okay, let's talk about Monster Club.
Oh, yes, I love that movie. I will give a preface of I freaking love that movie. It surprised me because I'm not really into old school type of movies. It wasn't that old school. I think it came out in 1980. Yeah,
It was
1981.
1981.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it does star Vincent Price, has some great actors in it. Kat will talk more about the actors, but I will give you the synopsis for anyone who hasn't seen it. Once again, just to reiterate, no spoilers, so don't worry if you've never seen this. Maybe after we talk about it, you'll want to see it or you'll want to pass on it. Maybe if you have seen it, you can give us your thoughts on Monster Club.
Mm-hmm.
You'll meet some interesting people and hear some great songs at the Monster Club is the tagline. A vampire attacks a horror author, and the author in the movie is actually the author of the book, The Monster Club.
Yes,
which
that was
I think
one of my tips.
So there's my tidbit. I own the book. I have not read the book. I kind of do want to read the book in the future to see if it has like song interludes or if that was just in the movie. I don't know.
I will say there were no song interludes, and the author of the book was actually disappointed with the movie because of that, because he felt like his stories mixed with the camp kind of took away from his stories. So he was not as delighted with the film. I'm just saying.
I will say the camp added to it from I love cheese and corn and camp. So the camp added to it. The musical parts were my favorite parts.
Oh my gosh. And that was my least favorite.
Oh no! How?
I was like,
typical Kat and Kelsey movie chat. Let's disagree.
Barry and I were watching and I'm like, should we fast forward through these musical interludes?
They were so catchy. They were bangers. How did you not like them?
Oh my gosh, they were terrible. Terrible. I was crying. I was like, I didn't sign up for this.
Remember the one where she undresses and she's like a skeleton, and then she's like, yeah, I'm a skeleton stripper.
It was the stripper. She was stripping. I was like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this?
And then that really sweaty guy. Oh my god, that was great. That monster sweaty guy. He was like so sweaty. He was like, yeah. I was like, his makeup's gonna come off.
Oh
but
my
it didn't.
gosh.
I loved it. See, look. The music for that one is an all-timer.
Well, what's funny is UB40, there is a UB40 song. It did not make it into the movie, but it was in like the credits or on the soundtrack, which I thought was pretty funny because I know that group. These other people, I knew nothing about them. And it was just some of, I don't know. I was just like, I could we just like not watch this part?
See, like some of the stories in the middle I wasn't in love with, but the songs I was like, this is the best part. Oh shit.
I had a feeling that you love that because that to me is like, that is like whatever the stinkiest cheese you could find. That is the cheese.
The cheese. So I didn't even finish the synopsis
so
before we get it
finish
into
the synopsis.
So, a vampire, which is Vincent Price, attacks a horror author, which the character's name is R. Chetwin Hayes, and that's the author's actual name, just so you guys know, the author of the book that this is based on or adapted from.
But it was played by John Carradine.
Yes. Then he invites said author to a nearby club as a gesture of gratitude, which turns out to be a meeting place for assorted creatures of the night. The vampire then regales him with 3 stories, each interspersed with musical performances at the club, aka the best part of the movie, Cat. I love Monster Club, says Tanya.
I'm not saying that I did not like Monster Club. I liked it except for that part.
Man, they were so catchy. How didn't you groove to those? Come on.
I was like, I think that's when I would go and do other things and then I'd come back. So let me give you some ratings for Monster Club. IMDb rated it 5.9 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes rated it 75%, which I think is a decent rating for a movie like this, don't you think?
I do think, yeah.
I mean,
here they're giving it a 3.1 on Letterboxd, but really not a lot of people have rated it.
Right. So, I mean, it is considered comedy horror. It has all kinds of monsters in it. And I thought there was some good acting in it, because you have some really talented people in it.
Yeah.
Vincent Price, of course, John Carradine. For those of you that don't know John Carradine, maybe you know his children, David Carradine or Robert Carradine. Both of them are in the acting biz. I think Keith Carradine is another relative, son. One of our favorites, Kelsey, Donald Pleasance.
Yes, and Mike was like, yes, he's in it. Yes.
He's actually in the second story about the vampires.
Now, the second story, I think, was my favorite story of the bunch. I really liked that one.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised. And then Stuart Whitman plays Sam, and he's in the third story. And then Britt Eklund, which some of y'all may have recognized her. Fun facts about this young lady. Well, she's not a young lady anymore. She's 82. But at the time, she was like a model. She was an actress. She was actually in the 60s married to Peter Sellers, who played in the Pink Panther. I mean, I was like kind of shocked by that. And they were together for 4 years. And then she didn't marry Rod Stewart, but they were together for 3 years in the 70s, which I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, the difference. Now, she had other relationships as well, but none as interesting to me as these two. She was also a Bond girl in The Man with the Golden Gun. I believe that was a Sean Connery James Bond movie. And according to her information, even though she's 82, she's still, I mean, they show her active from 1959 to the present. And I think the last time she's done stuff, it's more of like herself as a cameo and things. But as like 2020, I think she was in something. So she still pops up here and there. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Just seeing some people that I recognize. Now, the director was Roy Ward Baker. He's an English film director. I didn't know any of the movies other movies that he directed, but he was known for making horror movies.
Right. Yeah, I see quite a few on his list of his filmography list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so out of the 3 stories, the first one was called The Shagmock, the second was The Vampires, and the third was The Ghouls. I liked all 3 stories. They had something in it that I liked about it. But my favorite was actually the last one, The Ghouls. I just thought that was
my least favorite.
Oh my gosh, it was so, to me, like eerie and creepy, and I guess because it's also like zombie related,
True.
you know,
True.
I don't know. It to me was the one that felt the most tense to me, I guess. The first one kind of was like a horror love story gone wrong.
I loved the love story a lot. I thought that one had like a crazy amount of emotional elements to it,
Yes,
and
it
it was
did.
kind of heart wrenching. And I was like, I kind of like that they went a different direction with this, so that surprised me. I like
Yeah,
that one a
I
lot.
liked it too. And then the vampire one I thought had the most comedy element
It
to it.
did.
And I love like the little twist we find out, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to
Yes,
say
I
anything to
do. In the
spoil it,
vampire
but
story, yeah.
yes, and I like that. That was pretty fun. But to me, the ghouls was the one I was a little bit because I don't know, it just reminded me of like the how you have like a big city, but in within the city you've got this small patch where things are not really good. You know,
Yeah.
sort of like Silent Hill or something where you go into a different place on the other side is like the rest of the population kind of thing. I don't know. That was just for me, but I think if you're a Vincent Price fan, it would really appeal to your senses because
Yeah, I
it's a
just
lot
think
of fun.
it was great that he was in it too, and I loved at the end when he was dancing in the club with everybody. I was like, "Oh my god, he's so formal, but he's suave and he's dancing." It was great. The Shadmock's my favorite. It was sad. The Ghouls are my least favorite. See, I think the Ghouls were my least favorite too. I'm so sorry, Kat. I agree.
No, that's
My least
okay.
favorite.
That's fine. I still like it.
I still liked it overall quite a bit. I would probably give it a 3.5 if I had to give this a rating. Um, that
That
means I may watch it again in the future. I'm not like upset if I don't ever see it again. I had a lot of fun with it. I will be listening to that music again though.
I put 3.5 stars. I put was it worth rewatching? I put maybe. What I also
Yes.
liked about it, I kind of like anthology stories, like a story within a bigger story. And I kind of felt like the three stories, with the exception of the second one, were a little more serious in tone than what was happening with Vincent Price and John Carradine's characters
True.
in the bar. Like that was the campy part of it, you know, as he was
Yeah.
saying it. Now, I also thought it was awesome that there was this like genealogy chart where if you have this with this, you know, this monster with this monster, you created this monster.
I like how they kind of gave a reasoning why he'd be telling these stories. Like I liked
Yes.
how they give that kind of background about it. So I thought that worked overall. Let's see if we know anybody here who did give it a ranking. We've got Andrew who gave it 3.5. Melissa gave it 3.5. A lot of people seem to be on our same wavelength. Alex gave
Mhm.
it 4. David Sodergren, author David Sodergren, I follow him on Letterboxd because he's got
Oh,
great
cool.
taste in giallo movies. But he gave this 4 stars. See, like I really like it. To me, 3.5. If I had to say which way it swayed closer to 4 or 3, I would say closer to 4 because I really loved the music. I thought it was a
Mhm.
lot of fun. It was more closer to the top of my list versus being closer to the bottom of my list in terms of enjoyment of overall all my movies. So overall, I'm so glad I flipping watched it.
Yeah, I am too. And there was a little bit of social commentary in it as well,
Yeah,
which we know horror movies like to include something, you know, that's happening socially in the world, whether it's an injustice or not. But yeah, that's where I landed 3.5. I thought it was a good time. Um, I will say some of the costumes, when we went into the bar initially and you're looking at some of these costumes, did it kind of give you like Star Wars cantina feel?
yes, yes, it did give me Cantina vibes for sure.
I was like, I kind of feel like I'm in the cantina.
Well, also there's music, so I think that reminds you even more of the cantina.
Yes, possibly, possibly. I don't
Tanya
know. I
agrees with our
mean,
rating. So 3.5, don't take it too seriously. Agree. Like, you know, it's not something that we're kind of breaking it down in an academic way right now, but it's not really a movie that it's intended for that per se, you
yes,
know? Yeah.
yes. And like I wouldn't mind reading the stories now.
Me
So it's stuff
too.
like this I wouldn't mind time going back and reading the stories to see, are the stories a little bit scarier than how they were portrayed in the movie? Were they about the same? I think it's interesting, but overall it was a good time. And like I said, would watch it again. It might be one of those things if it happened to be on TV or whatever, when I was flipping through, maybe.
Yeah, Travis, you should watch it. It's fun. Like, it's nothing serious, but it's definitely, I thought it was thematic for the season. And I think the reason I watched it at that particular day that I put it in or put it on is because I said put it in as if it was a DVD, but I don't own it on DVD.
Or
I
VHS.
rented it. Yeah, I rented it. So I watched it because I pulled a prompt off of my game board that it said to watch a movie with any kind of traditional monster. So I used Vincent Price as the vampire as my monster for that prompt, and I was like, it works.
Yes, I
So
think
that's
it did.
why I watched it. I'm turning this convo into a drunk commentary, drinking some wine and cooking. Heck yes. Monster Club greater than Star Wars Cantina. Why don't you rate movies? Like, it's just hard for me to do that, and it affects my little lists I make. So you'll need to watch The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. It was my first movie of his that made me fall in love with him. Feel funny rating because they have Rotten Tomatoes and people tend to watch movies more than read books. That's true. Like, they don't really need our ratings as much as, like, I would say a book maybe needs to be rated. Like,
I do it just to help me remember, like, how I felt about it. And if I would ever rewatch a movie, sometimes my rating of it might change. I mean, there are times, and Kelsey and I have kind of talked about this before, and it's kind of the same way with books and movies. Sometimes when you do something for the first time, you're not catching everything because you're specifically looking at things on your first watch. And then the second time you're catching other things, because I know, like, TV shows, like, I've watched over and over again. There's sometimes things I'll catch and I'm like, this is the fourth time I'm seeing this, and I never noticed that before in the background. Or like if you listen to a rewatch of a TV show or something and they point things out and you're like, what was I looking at? Because I totally missed that.
Yeah. Rally says, very true, Kat. Yeah, that's a great point. Like, ratings can change over time. So it is cool to rate it at one point and then see what you rated it. And if you rewatch it, if that changes negatively or positively.
Well, and I think it also depends on where you are in life.
Yes.
Depending on what your mood is, depending on who you're watching it with. Can also impact your enjoyment, because sometimes, and also talking about things, there are times like I'll wait to write a review or give my star rating on a book if I know I'm having a discussion about it, because sometimes I can be swayed, not ever to go down in a rating, but sometimes to boost it a little bit.
Right.
And I've had that happen sometimes with movies as well. Like if Kelsey can convince me, and we know the one movie that I have to admit that upon a rewatch,
Christmas Evil.
Yeah, she loves rubbing it in. But it's true though. After having conversation and knowing other information about it, it did change. It didn't go up astronomically.
It didn't. But when we had that chat about that movie, I had like 4 pages of notes. I was like, this is the most prepared I've ever been for a chat.
Oh my gosh,
I was defending it to the death. And then my own boyfriend betrayed me. Anyway, this is a story for another day, but he picked Kat's side over mine. Oh, it's such a terrible day. Now force Paul to rewatch it. It is on my list. Spoiler alert for my holiday list. Christmas Evil is indeed on my list this year.
She loves that movie.
Honestly,
loves it.
I was like, am I really going to watch it again? I watched it last year and the year before and the year before. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to watch it again. I freaking love that movie.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I'm sorry. I can't pass up an opportunity to talk about flipping that film. Have absolute trash taste in movies, can never use Rotten Tomatoes. Travis is saying something similar. He often tends to love the movies that the critics hate. Glad Letterboxd lets you look at your rating history, so I could see the way my taste has shifted upon multiple rewatches on a movie. Like my rewatch of Torso jumped 2 stars this year. Torso was freaking fun. That one was really fun. True, I read The Whispering Door with others and it made it much more interesting. I agree with Kat. Sometimes a discussion will definitely bump things up for me.
Mm-hmm.
Watch Cruel Jaws because of Andrew. It was so fun. Tucker and Dale was so much more fun watching it with YouTube crew. Yeah. I remember the shirt reveal for Christmas Evil convo with Paul. It's so sad.
Oh, it was
It's
so
so
fun. It
sad.
was so fun. It was so fun.
Cruel Jaws is wild. I sent the novelization to Kelsey. I can't wait to read it. Need to rewatch Christmas Evil. I wasn't wild about it. It's because it's more of a drama than a horror movie. It's not a straight slasher. So if anyone expects it to be a slasher,
Mm-hmm.
they will be disappointed.
Yes.
It's more psychological, and that's why I really liked it, I think. And also everything about it. I'm not going to get into it. I could talk about that movie for hours.
Yes.
Dead Silence. I recommended that one. Hope you rated it high. I did watch Dead Silence. I think I'm probably going to give it like a 3.5, which means I enjoyed it. May or may not rewatch it again. I did think it had really creepy parts. So that might be a movie you want to watch in the future, Kat. I could see you liking that one maybe.
What's it called again? Dead Silence.
It has a doll on the cover, like a ventriloquist doll on the cover. On the poster, not the cover. You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find the poster. Oh, yeah, here it is. I'll show you. What movie do you want to move on to next? Unless you have more to say about Monster Club.
I am done with Monster Club.
All right, let us go into the next film.
You want me to pick it?
Yes, I just wanted to show you. This is the Dead Silence poster with this, this ventriloquist dummy with the whisper. Like,
oh yeah, that looks creepy.
Yeah, I think you could like it, possibly.
Those things creepy. Those ventriloquist dummies creep me out too. Yeah. They're like along the lines of like clowns.
Yes,
in my opinion. Okay, let's go ahead and let me be the unpopular opinion for this Bubba Ho Tep movie.
Oh no, you hated it. I thought, okay, so I'm mixed on it. I'm middle of the road because I thought the pacing was an issue. I will read the synopsis really quick for those who haven't seen it, but I know a lot of people here said they have seen it. I overall enjoyed it, so I'm more on the camp of I enjoyed more than I have criticisms of it. My criticisms, though, is it's a little long-winded. If they would have gotten into the buddy part of the movie with the two actors, the two main characters, a lot of the ending is a lot about they kind of find comfort in each other, they find strength in each other, and they're going up against this creepy mummy spirit, which I feel like that part's a little rushed, and the Elvis stuff gets a lot of time of him in the bed, kind of like feeling sorry for himself. So here's the synopsis real quick. This is from 2002. It says, in terms of the tagline, the king versus the king of the dead. Bubba Ho Tep tells the, quote, true story of what really did become of Elvis Presley. We find Elvis is actually an elderly resident in an East Texas rest home who switched identities with an Elvis impersonator years before his, quote, death, then missed his chance to switch back. He must team up with JFK and fight an ancient Egyptian mummy for the souls of their fellow residents. Obviously, you can tell, guys, if you haven't seen it, that the movie is odd. It's also somewhat a comedy, but it does have some morose, I think, atmosphere in it as well. About getting old and life.
How the elderly are kind of treated, how they're kind of put away in a nursing home kind of situation,
life passing
and kind of just left
too.
there.
Regrets as well, regrets in life, that kind of thing.
Now, according to the ratings, IMDb has rated it 6.9 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes 78%, which is fair. The director is Don Coscarelli, I guess is how you pronounce
same director as
which
Phantasm.
Is Phantasm, which I was like, what? How is this possible? Because Phantasm scares the crap out of me. It is actually based on a short story by Joe R. Lansdale. So any Joe Lansdale fans out there, this is where this story has come from.
I would totally read the story because I love Joe R. Lansdale. I just read a book by him in September called Freezer Burn. It was incredible. He really doesn't have always the most likable characters, and his stories aren't always just black and white in terms of, oh, it's everyone's good and then bad. This one, I think, has more of emotion in it. I'd be interested to see how much of this movie, comes straight from the story.
Right. How much that they did. Well, I just thought it was so absurd, so dumb. There were a couple of parts, that were funny, that you had funny moments sprinkled throughout. The actual Egyptian mummy dude, Bubba Ho Tep, I liked the way he looked. I mean, he
Mhm.
was creepy enough. And I also kind of liked Elvis's backstory, like how he ended up in the home, and that he also had a contract written up, and then what happens as to why he can't go back, and
Yeah.
the exact reason why he ends up in the nursing home, like the event that puts him there, kind of thing.
Right.
But I just thought it was just so absurd, and like you said, it was just so long. Barry was so excited about watching this because it had Bruce Campbell in it, and he fell asleep.
Yeah.
So we he couldn't even get through it all. But Bruce Campbell is Elvis. Ozzie Davis, who is a wonderful actor, plays Jack. And then Bubba Ho Tep is actually played by Bob Ivy, who really is a stuntman, but this was like a
Oh.
lead role for him in a film. And if you look up his information, some of his characters are characters like an alien or some other kind of monster or whatever, but he is a stuntman. That is like really
Huh.
what he does, which I
Wow.
know that stuntmen a lot of times will have roles in a movie if it's something like that, especially if they have to do these, really big stunts or whatever that they have to
Right.
portray. The only reason I know that is because I went to high school with a guy who is a stuntman. He's a stuntman and an animal
Oh,
wrangler, in
that's
Louisiana.
cool. What a cool
Yeah. So,
job.
yeah. And I've seen him in a couple of films, and have seen him actually have to do stunts like,
It's not Luke
be,
Hawks, is it?
no, no,
Okay, because
It's
he's
Jeff
also a
Galpin.
stuntman. He's a wrestler, like a local wrestler slash stuntman. I was like, it would be funny if it was the same person, but
No, no.
that would
His
be
name
too
is
coincidental.
Yeah, his name is Jeff Galpin, and funny enough, his sister was also a stunt woman for a
Oh,
time. But I've seen him actually in films, and it's funny because like he'll be, say, an ambulance or a paramedic person, and then there's a scene where there's fighting or something, and of course he's doing the stunts, but he also had to be that in order to do the stunt, I guess, instead of, having another type of actor in there. So sometimes your stunt people don't say anything. They're just specifically there for the stunt, the action.
right.
But anyway, I don't know. I mean, there were some scenes that were fine, but I ended up giving it 2 stars. I will never watch this movie again. It was not really my cup of tea. You know, I don't mind a movie if it's kind of low budget cheese, if it's not so drawn out. And like you said, there was moments, I think there was like two like tangents of
Right.
things going on, and I kind of felt sorry for the elderly person that was in that iron lung.
Me too. And then that
I
lady
was like,
steals her
I
her
know. I
her
was like,
pieces.
and I was like, that is so sad. I mean, what kind of a life is that?
That
Just
was
like,
sad. I will say there was like a lot of sadness, but what I liked about it, I think I have a more positive than negative experience, just to reiterate, because the friendship of the two at the end. I think that's what shined at the end, but the thing that dragged for me was just the pacing, the it just wasn't even throughout the whole movie. I think there's a lot
mhm.
that could have been chopped down, but I, for the most part, agree with what Andrew says here. I think Bubba Ho Temp is two old farts goofing around, so I have fun with it, but it isn't high on my list. Just a fun movie. I would probably give it around personally a 3. So a 3, it's like fun. Some of it's fun. I have got criticisms, but I still overall had a good time. Glad I watched it. May not
Mhm.
rewatch it again.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
if
I
it
would, but
wasn't,
probably wouldn't.
I think if it would have been like tightened up more like in the beginning and really got into like the friend part, I could see the two old fart part, goofing around kind of thing and trying to deal with this, Egyptian mummy or whatever. I don't know.
By the way, you
That's
did
where I am.
pronounce the director's last name correctly.
Oh, good.
Yay! And Andrew has a cool hardcover of the short story. That's so
Oh,
cool. I didn't even know it would be in a nice hardcover. Just
hello.
finished watching The Substance. Lucky. I want to see that so bad. Gotta head out to dinner, have fun, checking out the video later.
Bye.
Yes, we're gonna be talking about Terrifier last. I'm so sorry that you have to go, but definitely check out the end if you want to hear our thoughts on Terrifier, and we will have another Terrifier chat with spoilers in December. But we are going to have a date at a later time because we both want to. I want to rewatch it.
Yes,
we'll
because part of the issue is, I don't know if anybody really knows this, but Terrifier 3 is really killing it at the box office.
It is.
Unlike Terrifier 2 that did not stay in the theaters very long, Terrifier 3 is still in theaters, and I'm amazed that it has lasted as long. I don't know if they're trying to keep it in there because it's also Christmas related, but yeah, I plan on rewatching it as well. I'm actually planning on trying to watch all of everything before we have our discussion, even the chat that Kelsey and I
was
had.
definitely gonna watch 2 and 3, but now if you're gonna rewatch everything, I might as well do it too.
Well, you saw All Hallows. You saw All Hallows Eve.
Right, I'm not gonna rewatch that one because that one's still really fresh. But
right,
in terms of the actual Terrifier movies, I was just gonna watch 2 and 3 again, but maybe I will watch all 3 just to give a good refreshed perspective on all 3 of them. And then I do want to watch our chat because our chat, I'm so proud of that chat because it's almost like we convinced ourselves to keep giving this whole franchise a chance.
Yes.
Through our chat. So I really have a soft spot for that chat and for the franchise in itself. We're not going to go into it right now, but
we'll talk more about it when we
will.
Actually.
But I have a soft spot for it because of our chat, for a big part of it. So I'm going to rewatch that too, I think. But yes, that is going to be talked about before we end this chat. But next up, where do you want to go? We've got Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark or Cobweb. Which one?
Let's go ahead and do Cobweb. I think.
All right, Cobweb.
I think now we're getting into a little more of like a serious scary.
Yeah. All right, let me pull up. I'm going to pull up the description for anybody who didn't see this. This was another one that our sweet friend Amy played as a Discord watch party. I know you watched it on your own, Kat, but it was really fun to watch as a Discord watch party. And a lot of people in the chat, just my experience to share with those who weren't with us watching it, lots of people were freaked out, creeped out. There was great dread in it. And now let me tell you specifically the description. It was released, it's pretty recent, released in 2023. It says as a tagline, sooner or later, family secrets creep out. 8-year-old Peter is plagued by a mysterious constant tapping from inside his bedroom wall, one that his parents insist is all in his imagination. As Peter's fear intensifies, he believes that his parents could be hiding a terrible, dangerous secret and questions their trustworthiness. And I definitely think that is a very, very interesting and accurate description, almost too accurate, almost I'm kind of glad I went in more blind than that, but I am surprised by this rating I see here as 2.7. I'm sure you're going to tell us the other ratings. What did you find?
I was kind of surprised by this as well. IMDb 5.9 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes 59%. I was really kind of surprised by that. The director is Samuel Bodine. I don't know anything else by him. He hasn't really done a lot of films, but I liked it. It kind of gave me the People Under the Stairs kind of vibes.
Yeah, okay.
By Wes Craven, and the atmosphere of it, like you said, dread. I felt tense the entire time I was watching this film. I think the cast was pretty good. Woody Norman plays Peter, the little boy. I loved him. I just felt that he was perfectly cast as the little boy.
Yeah.
He had a lot of expression. I felt for him so much. Like, I hated that he was picked on at school, hated that he had that issue with that bully Brian. And another thing about him is I found out that he also stars in a movie called The Small Hand, which is based on a ghost story that Susan Hill wrote. Susan Hill's the author of The Woman in Black.
Yeah.
And The Small Hand is very creepy. It's a very creepy ghost story. So now I want to check it out, not only because now I know that there is a movie for that ghost story, but also that Woody Norman is in it. And I'm almost wondering if if he's playing one of the characters that I think he is, that's contributing to the creepiness
Oh,
in that ghost story. So anyway, the woman who plays Carol, Lizzie Kaplan, she's Carol, also Peter's mother. She, if you recognize her, she plays Annie Wilkes in Castle Rock.
oh,
Um, so not sure if anybody's seen Castle Rock. That's who she
yeah.
is. But I thought she did very well in the part of the mother, very unhinged, very unstable. Anthony Starr is Mark, who is also Peter's father. I recognized him from the TV show The Boys. I've never
Oh, yeah.
watched the show, but I've seen it on, like, my oldest son has watched it, or Andrew has watched it, and I recognized him from that. Again, I think he was very effective in his role, very creepy. There was a moment in there with the teacher that I was just like, oh my gosh, something really, really bad is going to happen. I
I
almost didn't want to.
know.
I even texted you, I believe, and said, I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to trust in
I
this
didn't
film.
want to respond with anything that could give anything away, so I was like,
I was like, I
yes.
don't know what to do here. And then Miss Divine is played by Cleopatra Coleman. She actually has been in quite a few movies, most recently Rebel Moon, which is the two-part science fiction kind of epic film, Rebel Moon. So if you're a Zack Snyder fan, I want to see that actually. I know it hasn't gotten the greatest reviews, but it looks cool to me. And sometimes, I like things that the critics don't like sometimes.
Right.
But anyway, that's the little tidbits that I've brought in for that. I love the twist. I thought it was creepy, scary. I love that it took place on Halloween. There's social commentary all throughout.
The
Um,
setting of the house with the
yes,
pumpkin patch, like, oh,
yes.
that visually was amazing. I like that was one of my favorite parts. It had me. I want to hear your rating. You can finish what you were going to say. It had me until certain parts at the end. Then it lost me. But you tell me what you thought. Oh, keep going with your
Well,
thoughts.
I'm just saying, I felt like I didn't know who to trust. It was
Right.
so like, it was just so unsettling in many ways. Like and also I guess because old houses, like the haunted house trope, um, is one of my favorites, or anything that has to do with, anything with an old house, even if it
Right.
doesn't tend to be supernatural per se. But I don't know. There's other aspects, like how horrific what ends up happening to Peter because he doesn't know who to trust himself. It's just, there's so much sadness mixed in the
Yeah.
darkness of the movie too, and it does end, I don't know, I can't even say because I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but I ended up giving it 4 stars, and it is a movie that I would probably watch again just because I feel like there's things maybe I missed.
Yes.
I don't know.
I was loving it. I was loving the tension. I was feeling the same vibes as you on the same exact page. The only reason it's not a 4 for me, it's a 3.5. It's not that far off. I have qualms with the ending. I wish this wasn't a CGI movie. And this is a qualm about
Oh,
every movie. That bothered me so much. The way our villain, I'm not going to say who our villain is, the way our villain looks bothered me. I think it could have looked so much better had some kind of prosthetics or practical effects been used instead of CGI or computer effects. I think it would have been so much more effective. That took things out of it for me. It took things away from the movie. It just
well,
lessened it a tiny bit.
and if I
I'm
have to have
nitpicky about
another
that.
criticism about that, is that I also felt like it, there were scenes that were way too fast that you couldn't appreciate. And I'm wondering if they did that because they did not have good
Yeah,
effects, that they were kind of covering up those effects, perhaps. I just
it was a
felt like,
very dark movie as well. Like it was
yes,
shot
when it
very
got
dark.
to that point, I just felt like I want to see more. We've waited this entire time to
Yes.
see this, and I know it's going to be good. And then you were kind of let down from it, and that's why
I
it's
don't
not
know
a
if it was
five
like they
star for
thought
me. I
yeah,
don't
I don't know
know.
if they thought less is more, or they thought the more we show it, the less effective it is, or the more we show it, the more computerized it looks. Because to me, it looked computerized
Well, that's what I'm
completely.
saying. I
Yeah.
think partly it may have been because of that. They couldn't achieve it. And how sad, because you had an actor, you had
Yeah.
someone physically in that role that you I don't know. I mean, considering how atmospheric everything was, you couldn't have gone the extra mile.
Like, to me, without trying to give any spoilers away, if the actress from what's that movie, the Possession of Emily Rose, there's that
Yes.
great actor from the movie White Chicks, The Possession of Emily Rose. She plays one of the friends in that movie, but she plays a possessed person in The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Her name is Jennifer Carpenter. She's also in Dexter. She's great. I love her.
Yeah.
She's very flexible with her body, and I think somebody like her could have done things naturally that they tried to use computer animation to
Mhm.
achieve in Cobweb. I think some of her body movements and looks in the movie The Possession of Emily Rose could have worked in Cobweb. And that's what really
That's a
upsets me,
good
because like
point.
it could have achieved. So 3.5. I would probably still rewatch it. I still enjoyed it. I still think a lot of it was effective, but I got let down by the ending because of what I saw of the villain didn't look the way I wanted. That's
Mhm,
all. And I
mhm.
also couldn't completely see very well because of the fast cuts, because I think they could
Yes.
have been trying to hide some of it more
That's
too.
that's kinda how I was like, it's like I understand like the premise, but it was evening time. So
Yeah.
this person is not like coming out like it wasn't like people were flashing a light on the person when they found the person. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or like
Mhm.
the person exposed themselves. You were still in a dark situation, but you could have still given more. That, I do agree with you on that. But
Not that
the,
far
it,
apart though in the rating, really.
no, no. But if you think about Peter, and this is when it's like it's hard not to talk spoilers,
I know,
but
because the
when you think
twist,
about
yeah.
Peter as a character, it's like, holy shit, this poor kid, I'm
Yes.
just like,
I know, the
oh.
twist, I will say, like, that part got me. That development, I was like, "Oh."
And I didn't see it coming. I
Yeah,
did
me
not see it
neither.
coming. I will tell you that. One thing I did want to also mention, this is a sad fact, but I also wanted to mention, and it just made me, I don't know what triggered it when we were talking about this, but going back to the movie, We Have a Ghost, the woman who played the mom in that movie passed away recently.
Oh.
And I just wanted to mention that because I thought she did a great job in that movie. And when I went to look up information about her, she just recently passed in July, 46 years old.
Oh.
So I was a little
46,
bummed
that's
out.
young.
It is young. And another actor died in another film that I watched and that we're not talking about, but he was also young and the circumstances were kind of sad too. It always makes, I mean, I know there's several actors in our movies that have passed, but generally they're like 80s,
Yeah, not like
you know,
40s. Yeah,
right. So I just wanted
it's
to make that
unusual.
comment. I forgot to mention that just because I think she did a great job and she was also a theater actress as well,
Oh.
in one of my favorite plays, The Lion King. So
Oh.
anyway,
I agree
I
with
don't know what
Travis
made me
too
sad.
about I love the new It adaptations in some ways, especially the first one. But the last one, I thought the CGI was a little too much. So same thing with this movie Cobweb. I felt very similar about the last installation of the new It movies as well. So I agree with you on this, Travis.
Well, and
And
also
also about
too,
Mama, I agree about this too. And Smile a little bit too was
well,
laughable. The first Smile. I don't know about the second one, but
you also didn't like it in I Am Legend.
I know, and I used to love, so when I Am Legend came out in the theater, I loved that movie. When it played on TV, loved it. Me and Kat rewatched it a couple of years ago for a chat. I was like, the CGI bothers the hell out of me. I hate it. Like, so it lowered my rating of it, and it's just crazy. As we were talking about, people's opinions on things change depending on where they are in their life, and it's just funny to look back. But
Mhm,
hi,
mhm.
Katrina, by the way.
Hey,
Glad you're
Katrina.
here. By the way, Katrina says my backyard looked like the backyard from Cobweb this fall because she had pumpkins, just like the Cobweb
Yes,
people.
I loved all of her pumpkins. I love seeing
I
that.
know, me too. So cool. Mindy says she's agree, but I will say, Mindy, it was still a great recommendation because this, by the way, was Mindy, who's on the Monster Squad for my Readathon, Watchathon, Halloweenathon. It was her movie rec, and I am so glad you recommended it because I wouldn't have put it on my list had you not recommended it.
Yeah, I
And
was
I'm so
excited about
glad.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I was
still think it was
excited
one of the
about
better
it.
movies I watched, Mindy, even
Yeah.
with the CGI. The rest was so good that it's still a standout movie for me. Same, Mindy, I still really liked it. And it is such a small part of the movie. I just wanted a little bit more payoff with how it looked.
Yeah. Well,
Otherwise, the tension was amazing. The rest was great.
yeah, it was one that was put in my queue on Netflix. Not was it Netflix or Hulu? It was put in there, and I had been wanting to watch it, so I was so glad that it was on your list. I'm like, "Woo! I'm
Yeah,
watching this
I'm
one."
so glad you watched it. My fave twist from a watch in 2024 was Malignant. That police station scene. Malignant bothers me with some of the CGI too. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I do overall like Malignant as well. Hatching, which is also on Hulu, like Cobweb, has solid practical special effects. I'm gonna have to put this on my list for next year. I'll write it down.
Yeah, let's write that down too.
All right, so we do have one more film to talk about before we go into Terrifier territory, because I think that's going to be probably very in-depth conversation. So, Kat, your favorite rewatch, you said, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I will read a synopsis, but if anyone here is familiar with, of course, these stories, the collection of stories, this, of course, is an adaptation of that, or trying to pay homage to those stories, entitled Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, of course. But let me get the official synopsis from my little list here. It was my first time watching it, even though it was Kat's second time watching it. Only your second time, right, Kat? Not
Yes,
like a third
yes.
and
I
fourth.
saw it the first time I saw it in the theater with Andrew, and
It's from
then
2019, so not that long
yeah,
ago.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
Stories taken from true urban legends. It says Mill Valley, Pennsylvania, Halloween night, 1968. After playing a joke on a school bully, Stella and her friends decide to sneak into a supposedly haunted house that once belonged to the powerful Bellows family, unleashing dark forces that they will be unable to control.
Yeah, so it got decent ratings, I think, considering, that it is a kind of like a teen movie, I would say.
Yeah.
It's PG-13, and IMDb gave it 6.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 78%. The director is Andre, I guess Overdahl might be how
hmm
you pronounce it. He's a Norwegian filmmaker. Fun fact about this movie: it was budgeted under $30 million to make the film.
Uh-huh.
It ended up becoming a surprising hit at the theaters, that it made over $100 million. Now, I don't know exactly how much over the 100 million. So that wasn't bad for the type of movie. So even though it didn't get 78%, I don't think is bad
It's not bad at all.
for
And
a
we're talking
film.
about a PG-13 movie. It's
Yes,
not a rated R
PG-13.
movie.
I love that it's based on the short stories by Alvin Schwartz. I
hmm
love those stories personally. And so I have a soft spot for the stories. So when Andrew and I went to go see it, I was super excited. I was like, I really hope they do a great job. And again, it has a lot of ingredients that I like in a story. But before I go there, I just want to talk about the cast, because we have a very big cast of
hmm
characters. Zoe Colletti plays Stella, who is our main character. If anybody has watched Fear the Walking Dead, she played Dakota on that television show. I like this actress. There's a look about her. In some ways, she kind of reminds me of my Andrew's girlfriend, fiance, Megan. So I don't know. When I see her, I just feel something familiar about her,
Right.
Michael Garza plays Ramon, and also that's Stella's kind of like love interest. I didn't know much about him, and some of the other kids, but Austin Zajur plays Chuck. Gabriel Rush plays Augie. Austin Abrams plays Tommy, the bad guy. He was also on Walking Dead one season.
Huh.
You have Natalie Ganshorn plays Ruth. Many people will recognize Dean Morris as Roy, who also plays Stella's father. He was in Breaking Bad. He's been in I don't know. I think he has about 150 TV film credits to his name. He's a character actor. You've seen him. You probably have seen him in a plethora of things over the years. And then Gil Bellows plays Chief Turner in it. I just love this movie for so many reasons. Can I share that first, or do you want to
Yeah,
have anything to say before I get into it?
yeah, I want to
One,
hear.
I love that it's a group of misfit kids. I love that it's small town and it's, horror in a small town. I love that it's around Halloween. It has a haunted house, a possessed object of some kind, which is the book that belongs to Sarah Bellows. There's a story and why she is so enraged and does the things she does. I love that the stories that they actually picked to show in here. And of course, it's a story within story, so you
Right.
got the bigger story with all these stories. And
Which
I loved how
is
they
hard to
connected.
pull off. They did a really good job, choosing stories. It's a hard thing to honor because a lot of people are very nostalgic for the actual books. So
Yes.
I think it's probably was a daunting thing to put onto film because
Hmm.
you've I would say you probably have a lot of expectations of people to match in terms of how they feel about the books and the stories themselves, and then you have to come up with something that ties them together so it's not super random.
Right, right. And I mean that, and I loved how they paired the kids' fears with the story that was being told, because
Yes.
the stories of course are being written for these kids, but just seeing the stories come alive. And I do think they did a great job with the effects and making them scary. I don't know, it's like my favorite story in the books is The Big Toe. I just love that story. Know
That
why,
part grossed
but
me out so much in the movie. Oh my god.
so I was so excited when I saw that it was going to be one of the stories in this anthology, within this story. But yeah, I loved it. I thought the acting was well done. I liked the setting. It was atmospheric to me. I thought the kids got along really well. Even the antagonist, I mean, he's a twerp. He really is. But
Mhm.
what ends up happening to him is amazing. The scenes with
Yeah.
him to me are amazing, I think.
That was, I
Um,
think, my favorite part were the scenes with the bully, the Harold story. Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing. Yeah. Harold, I
yeah.
think, hands down, for some reason, that part was my favorite adaptation of a
Well, it's
story.
it's disturbing.
It
And I mean, for
is.
being PG-13, I mean, you didn't there were some
There
gruesome,
were.
disturbing parts in it, and they didn't have to have a lot of gore or violence to achieve it.
Didn't you just hear didn't someone just tell me about a second movie? Was it you, Kat?
No, I didn't tell you that, but I did see that they're supposed to. However, I think they were in production, and I want to say maybe it was either COVID or the strike or something delayed it.
Mhm.
So they have it. If you look it up, there is a Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark Part 2, and they show some of our characters in it, and but they don't have any, like, really any production
It
notes
seems,
on it.
like, very quiet about it, and
Yeah.
Mike says, "I feel like the strikes killed it." So, don't know if it's gonna come back at any point, but the way with no spoilers, the way it ends, it does leave things open for
Mhm.
another
Mhm.
installment, and that's what I was texting Kat about when I had finally watched the whole thing because 'cause she'd already seen it before I had not, so,
Yeah, and I would
yeah.
love to see what they would end up doing with it because of how they left it. I think they left it in a good place, obviously. And guess that was their intention all along. They weren't anticipating having the world to shut down, and
Yeah.
then the strike. The strike has messed up a lot of things. A lot of shows that were supposed to come back in 2024 have been delayed because of all the strike stuff that's been going on. But yeah, it's a 5 star for me, just for all those ingredients that I mentioned. I would rewatch it. It's the kind of movie that you could put on in the background for me. I'm saying have on in the background, and when you get to the favorite part of watching it, or I don't know.
I
That's
did
that's
have
where I
some
land.
nitpicky things, but I overall really liked it. I would give it, like, 4 3.754. I think more of a 4 because I would for sure rewatch it 100%. Like there's no question. I wouldn't have a problem rewatching it. I loved the Harold story the best. I don't have the same nostalgia with the books as a lot of other people because I didn't grow up reading them. I'm only like vaguely familiar with some of them. Like the ones they chose, I was familiar with quite a few of them, but I hadn't read some of the ones that they like, you know, the one with following this guy here that we see on my screen that I'm
Oh my
sharing.
gosh.
That
Oh,
one, I didn't like the
oh,
design of her, but it does look
oh,
like the
she's so,
drawing.
oh
I
my
do think they
gosh.
did a good job bringing the illustrations to life, but sometimes it just clashed with the look of the rest of the film. But that
I think,
actor bothered me a little bit. I don't know why. Like his character bothered me a little bit. This actor that we see right here
mhm,
as a friend, but everyone else I kind of liked a lot. And I will say, this is a testament to how it was actually pretty good. So Paul and I together, the movies on my list we watched together were Deadstream. We also watched The Lords of Salem, that Rob Zombie movie I told you guys I'm torn on, and we watched this one. And he said, when this one was over, he said, out of the ones we've watched together, this is definitely the best of all of them, for sure.
mm,
He's like, he liked it. So
right. Yeah, I just there was like this particular story, there was just so much dread because of and then how it ends. I'm just like, I don't know, it just kind of freaky to me.
I did think that they
The
had like
entity thing is freaky.
it's
And,
really well done in terms of the stakes are high, even though it's just a group of kids. I feel like also, like you mentioned, the PG-13, it goes there at times, like especially the Harold story. I just
mhm.
and the big toe too. I did think it went there. So I think I'm gonna settle on a 4 because it really is a well done movie overall. And my little nitpicky things are just very small things, you know. Katrina says, I grew up thinking the books were based off of real stories. My cousin would read them to me and tell me it was all true.
Well, and really, what's sad is these stories have been banned,
They
because
have. There's a great documentary actually about this. I think it's called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark as
which I
well.
wanna watch that
It's
because,
good.
when I found out that it was banned, I mean, I had the individuals, like, the books, I had the, like, individual paperbacks, and I put them in my library when I taught junior high, not even knowing that they had been banned.
Uh huh.
So, oh well, if anybody would have called me out on it,
Yeah.
I would have had to be like, I'm sorry, I had no clue or whatever. But I don't really see anything wrong with them. But apparently they were too scary for kids. That's why they were banned or whatever,
There's all
even though
kinds
they're
of
based on
reasoning.
urban legends. But the thing about it is, my copy that I have now is kind of like a combination, like an omnibus
Hmm.
hardcover of all of them that I happened to pick up.
The
But
documentary is well done. I think it follows the author's son as he like goes to visit one of the people who was like pioneering the band, who was like trying to really
mhm,
get it banned and trying to explain to her like the meaning and symbolism behind it. And but also it talks to a whole bunch of people, fans of the books growing up and stories and how kids can take darker things. I did think it was a really interesting. I do recommend anybody who's interested watch it because
and
it's
but you see
interesting.
that, but it makes me mad when people want to ban stuff like that,
Me too.
because have you ever read Grimm's fairy tales? Have you ever really read the true
I think it
story of
teaches people
Cinderella
nothing to
and the wicked stepsisters? I mean, if you read some of the
they're
fairy tales,
dark.
they are very dark, and it's like that seems to be okay. It's like it drives me, all this book banning stuff drives me crazy.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I mean, I don't think it's any way to teach any kind of lesson. I don't think you're protecting anybody from shielding people from harsher things or realities or things that aren't even that bad. Like, you know,
Right.
Boy's Life was banned or was
Which I can't even imagine. I
it wasn't
cannot even
banned. It was
imagine why.
they were trying to ban it and because it had cursing in it.
Oh, woo, woo. But your kids are hearing cursing on the playground, people.
Yes. So he went and defended it to the he like had a speech and it was like, please, like this it's because it's good against bad and those are the bad
Right, right.
characters,
And I
not the
mean,
good
really, I
characters.
mean, people do cuss in real life.
I know, but
And
like, they
some of
didn't
those
want that.
hypocrites were probably doing it anyway.
I know. It's crazy. But yeah, apparently it might be on Tubi, or it was in October at least. And I think
Okay.
someone said it was on Prime, the documentary. I totally think people should check out this documentary. Honestly, no
I
book should be
agree.
banned. I agree with this as well.
Yeah.
So this, I think, do you have any other little tidbits to give about
That's
that one?
it. That's all I have to say.
This leads us to Terrifier 3. I'm so excited to talk about this. So we do, I think, disagree on this because I know this is the one you're torn on. So before we get into some details, but again, we are not going to go into spoilers in this chat, guys. If you do want to hear our spoiler-filled thoughts, not only of Terrifier 3, but we're going to probably talk about the entire franchise. So if you want to hear our entire chat, we want people to have a chance who have not seen it in the theater to have a chance to see it before we do our spoiler-filled chat. So that will be coming sometime in December. We're just waiting to see if we could find out when or if it's going to stream in December so that we could possibly rewatch it and then give other people time to rewatch it for Holiday Hell, because it is definitely, the one thing you could say about it is definitely a Christmas movie. It's definitely Christmas heavy. It would be a great watch if you can handle it for Holiday Hell, for instance.
Yeah, yes. We have to specify that of the franchise, this one does cross a lot of boundaries. I put that on my notes.
I do think it crosses boundaries, but I'm going to say something that I think was a great point that Cameron and I were talking about. So Cameron, guys, check out his channel from Library Macabre. He really was disturbed by the second movie. He thought the second movie, the second Terrifier, went too far. He thought it went too far in the scene, the bedroom scene, without saying like major spoilers. Some kill takes place in a bedroom, and it's very, very drawn out, exaggerated, and then after all this hacking and slashing take place, then chemicals are brought out, salt and other chemicals, to torture this person who's already been cut up. So literally pouring salt in a wound to make it worse. And Cameron was like, that's crossing a line to me. That is sadistic. That is too much. I can't take it. And I could see how people could feel that way about number 2, especially that scene in number 2. I liked number 2 overall better than Terrifier 1 because it had a story. It had a female character that I could root for, a final girl type of scenario. My big problem with Terrifier, the first one, was that it felt like it didn't have that. It was missing something. So at least 3 has characters. 3 doesn't have the salt in the wound. It's a quicker kills, in my opinion. Does it have more blood, more violence? Yes. Does
more
it have
horrific
a lot of sadness?
kills?
I don't know if it's, I don't know. In some ways it's horrific, but it's not as close, in my opinion, to torture porn because you're not sitting on the kills. And it's not as women only heavy either, in my opinion.
That's true. Yes, that's
so I
true.
think those are some pros about the kills.
I think Damien Leone got feedback on that.
I think he did.
About the brutality against women.
I think people were like assuming like he hated women. He was like, we better make sure that everyone is equal with their getting killed. So 5 years after surviving Art the Clown's Halloween massacre, Sienna and Jonathan are still struggling to rebuild their shattered lives. As the holiday season approaches, they try to embrace Christmas spirit and leave the horrors of the past behind. But just when they think they're safe, Art returns, determined to turn the holiday cheer into a new nightmare. Festive season quickly unravels as Art unleashes his twisted brand of terror. There's more, but I'm just going to leave it at that because that's enough of a description.
Yes.
But Kat, any tidbits before we go into opinions?
IMDb right now, the rating is 6.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 78%. Of course, that could change, as more people are watching it. The director is Damien Leone, who I'm sure was like, how did it get to be this big, huge franchise? He's cashing in now when he first started with this Art the Clown. So I'm sure he's very pleased with where it's going. But Art is played by David Howard Thornton, and Sienna is played by Lauren Lavera. I didn't go into all the other family members, but one little fun fact about our Sienna is that she started her career off as a body double for Anya Taylor-Joy in the movie Split.
Oh,
by M. Night Shyamalan. Is that it? Shyamalan?
M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan? Yeah, Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. Now I'm questioning how I pronounce it. I don't know.
Right.
You're making me question it.
So she does have like martial arts background kind of thing. So I think she has in that realm of like body double, stunt double kind of thing, which I found very interesting how she started her career in Hollywood. Now you will see her in Life of Chuck, which was directed by Mike Flanagan based on a novella by Stephen King. I think that comes out of the If It Bleeds collection, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm kind of glad to see that she's getting some more exposure and doing some other things
I
because I
thought
really
her
like her
performance
as an
was great.
actress.
I do
Yes, I
too.
do.
I thought her
I
performance was great. Lots of emotion pouring out of her. I think out of 2 and 3, she's the best actress. Like she's the best actor besides Art, of course,
yes,
in both
yes.
movies. I think she's so great. Also, I got to say for any fellow wrestling fans out there, there is a cameo. This is my fun fact by Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho right now on TV because he is a part of a wrestling company called AEW, but he's also a WWE legend. He is a legendary wrestler, but right now on TV currently, he is pitching his appearance in Terrifier 2 as like this big thing because he's a bad guy wrestler right now. And he's like, I was a pillar. So like, even though his scene is literally like 2 minutes and it's a
Right.
great kill scene, but he's like, I was the pillar in Terrifier 3. Your hero and your learning tree. That they're calling him the learning tree right
Yeah,
now. It's his
so
character.
yeah. And then that was one of my surprises was that he was in it. He plays Burke, who is like a hospital
I think he's at the
attendant.
end of 2 as well,
He's
if I
at the end of
remember.
2, yes, and then at the beginning of 3, but it's a very brief part. Some surprises to me. I was really shocked, and I even think I said something to you about it like right after. Clint Howard, Ron Howard's brother, has a part. He plays
Yes.
Smokey. He's one of the guys in the bar. Thought that was hilarious. Daniel Roebuck is the Santa in the bar. You will have also seen Daniel Roebuck in the Bubba Ho Tep movie. He
Who is
played one
he?
of the hearse drivers that came and got
Oh, the bumbling
picked up the
guys. Oh
body.
no.
Yes.
Oh no.
So he was in there. So, he's in the bar, the Santa bar guy. Tom Savini played one of the bystanders in the mall. I think he gets
Which I think
interviewed.
is so cool. He's a legend.
He is a legend. Okay, he worked with George Romero on many films. He had parts in some of George Romero's films. He was in that movie Dusk Till Dawn with Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney, which I love that movie. I
I've
mean,
got
it's
to
just
watch
off
that
the
movie. I've
rails.
never
It's
seen it
great. I just
somehow.
love it. But I was just so like shocked to see him in this because his background is makeup and
Yeah.
and what do you call it?
Prosthetics.
Prosthetics. Yeah. So love that. Then I also love that Jason Patrick from the Lost Boys
Yeah.
is Sienna's father. And
Yes. He's
how
kind of like
odd that his name is
hard to
Michael in Terrifier
recognize.
3 and Michael in the Lost Boys. I was just
Yes.
like, oh my gosh. I kept looking at him and I'm like, God, I know that guy from somewhere. Where do I know him from? So I just thought that was fantastic. And then this Santa Claus in the mall happens to be a Louisiana actor. Chip,
Oh.
yes, and I don't know if I'm going to say his name correctly. It's spelled Carriere, Carrera maybe, or Carriere. His name is Chip Carriere. And I thought that was great that we have a little bit of Louisiana rep in Terrifier 3. And I don't know, that's my stuff with all of that. But I will also mention I saw somewhere that that terrible scene in the home, the abandoned home, the terrible scene I will not
With a piece of
elaborate on.
glass.
Yes, with the piece of glass.
That no one's
That
talking about it. That's the worst.
that is the worst, okay, in my opinion. Way worse than the shower scene,
So much worse
but
than the shower
way
scene. Everyone's
worse.
like, "Oh no, a guy in the
Yes.
shower scene." I'm like, "Bitch, no."
They said that the actor who played Art the Clown was disturbed by that. Like, that was hard for him to be in that scene.
I bet. Yeah, I would. That is the only time I looked away, but I did look back. You
I don't know
fully
how,
looked away.
I could not. I was like, I see where this is going. I cannot. I cannot. Now, if I rewatch it, I will have to try to force myself, but you know what? Knowing what happened in that scene, I could see how there would be people who could have gotten physically sick from that,
I do too,
or
because
could
that was a
have.
lot for me. That part.
I could see how they could be physically sick. Now, the fainting, I'm not sure about the fainting. I don't know. Like, I've never seen anything like if I saw that in real life, I probably could have fainted, but
Yeah,
not
I've
if I'm
never
watching it
even
on the
been
film.
tempted to faint at a movie, except I think I told you about that lung
Yeah.
scene from that race car movie. I almost fainted, like, in my own room. I was like, "I can't take this." They were, like, giving a dude, like, they were putting a tube down his throat to get the liquid out, because he was burned up, and this is based on a true story, and I saw it, and I was like, I was like, "How can I not handle this? I watch horror movies," and it was a drama. It wasn't even a horror movie, but anyway, that was a long time ago, and it was random, but I don't know if I could handle that movie now, but can't even remember the name of the movie. But in terms of Terrifier 3, I love the gore. I love the kills. I will say the glass part that you're referring to was hard for me as well. I think it's partially because we're women. I don't think men would be as affected by it. Maybe that's why, more guys are talking about the horrificness
Uh,
of the shower scene. However, a thing
mm,
that Cameron pointed out is there is like a moment of art taking satisfaction during someone's pain. There's a lot of moments of that, but there is a moment of that in the shower scene, and Cameron found that to be more disturbing than the kill, like
well,
the
that is what
guy
our
kill.
friend that's what our friend Ray, I think that's what he was alluding to when he was saying he found Art to be more mean-spirited.
Yes, because he was like taunting her as she's dying.
And also too, he was not too thrilled with the glass scene as well. Like, it kind of sort of like crossed a boundary there of,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's one thing, and I think what it is for that too is like, it's one thing if you could have alluded to it as opposed to actually seeing it. Like, it almost makes the scene in the first Terrifier with the woman, that one scene with the woman in that facility that when I told you, I'm like, I don't know if I can watch the rest of this movie. This is going in a place that I'm a little too uncomfortable right now.
It
And
harkens back to that a little bit.
but what I'm saying is that scene to me, it was disturbing. Don't get me wrong. It was horrific, terrible, disturbing, hard to watch. But I think the glass scene in Terrifier 3 like even goes beyond that,
I
is
do
what I'm
think it
saying.
goes beyond that too. I do. And but I still loved the movie because to me, what separates Terrifier 1 from Terrifier 3 is, to me, there's nothing to hope for in Terrifier 1. There's nothing at the end that stands out, that glows. Like, I don't know. Like, there is no Laurie Strode. There is no final girl.
Well,
Whereas 2 and 3, there's some glimmer of something. Hope.
that's what I
There's
need
some
to go
good
back and write.
characters.
I need to go back and watch the first Terrifier because I think there is a survivor.
There is, but like it's nobody. You don't feel connected to any of the characters really. Even
That's
the
true.
girls who are fighting for their life, I never really felt super connected to them.
Well,
I
I
never
did
really.
think they were kind of dumb.
I thought they were dumb too, and like I never felt like that with Sienna. I never
Right,
felt like that
right,
with her
right, right.
character.
Well, but I also think that Sienna fought harder. You know what I'm saying? I just
Yeah,
think that she fights harder, that she is what we really embody as a final girl.
yeah. I just think,
Even,
yeah, her characterization is wonderful in
yeah,
my
it's more well
opinion.
developed. It's just, I think it's a total different direction. And I'm almost wondering if that's the route he decided to go in because, okay, there's a difference between you just having the slasher film where it's just like hack 'em up, pack him up, and let's go for the day. Like, I'm here for Halloween to cause chaos, and then
Yeah.
I'm going to disappear for the other 364 days until next Halloween. It was sort of like that. So I'm almost wondering if the director didn't foresee like them having other movies. But then, as Terrifier and Art the Clown has become more popular, it's sort of like,
That's
well,
one of Cameron's
I
criticisms.
can't keep having him come and do that because that's going to get boring after a while. I'm just going to be raising the
Also, there's
stakes.
nothing for people to root for, right? If you just
Right.
have the more than one off. So I think he had to put lore in. He had to, there's all this interest behind Art, and he has to start building that in. So one of Cameron's criticisms is that sometimes some of the story aspects in 2 and 3 feel phoned in. As in, he's after the fact trying to like lay the groundwork for something more. Art is something more, and also it's even maybe the final girl stuff is phoned in, he's saying, or not phoned in. That's not how Cameron said it. He just said some of the things are a little forced, because it was never originally supposed to be that. It was originally supposed to be this one standoff thing. It became huge, so now it's becoming a different whole thing. And it's not
Exactly.
always easy to build into that after the fact, after it's
Well,
already
but
gotten
he's
started.
also have to stay true to where Art started from. And
Right.
so that's another reason why I kind of want to go back to the beginning and kind of see what the timeline is from like All Hallows Eve, how he's portrayed in these, because those little short films are the short films that he started off with, and then kind of see if there's any kind of a timeline where you see a progression in Art himself, or is he just so demonic that anytime he exists, he's going to just, murder people.
One
That
second. Yeah, keep
okay.
going, Kat.
So I don't know. I mean, that's why I kind of want to see what's going to go. We do know that there's going to be a Terrifier 4. We do know that based on how Terrifier 3 ends. The director, Damien Leone, has said that there's going to be one. It may be the final one. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here because of how it ended, in my opinion. But I don't know. I haven't given a star rating for this yet. And I think part of it is because I think I ended up landing on a 4 for Terrifier 2. In some ways, I like Terrifier 2 more than Terrifier 3 for different reasons. It could be that my memory of it is different than this is fresh. Maybe I need to see it again. Maybe because I covered my eyes 3 pivotal points in the movie and I didn't in the other films. I don't.
You covered it, parts of the bedroom part in 2. Your eyes, I think.
I did, but I kind of was like this. I kind of was like seeing a little bit.
Amy
Like,
says her local theater had incidents of kids vomiting, so they made it 18 plus.
well, it should. I don't think any young children
We
should go
had
see this
kids
movie.
coming
We
into
had
our theater,
young
and we were like,
kids,
"Why is this
and
lady bringing a group of kids?"
they ended up leaving. I don't know what the woman thought this film was going to be, but they left. They came back. I should have marked when they came back, but I was so horrified in my own little bubble that I couldn't really
To
pay
be
attention to that.
fair,
But
there
then
is
they
a
also
difference, but
left.
there's a difference between 1978 rated R Halloween and the Terrifier
Oh,
movies.
yes. Yes.
So I think that's why some people hate this franchise, because it doesn't fit the mold of a traditional slasher movie,
It
even though it
doesn't.
is pitched as a slasher at times. Because he, as in Art the Clown, has gained popularity as a new Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, which is so rare when you really think about it. We haven't had a big slasher icon in decades.
Yes.
And for him to like rise up to this level of one is pretty amazing. It's kind of like a pop culture phenomenon in a way, especially because it was just a little low budget film. But I think that's what happens. I mean, when you look at the original Halloween, that wasn't supposed to be a phenomenon. Same thing
Right.
with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Or
Same thing with
Scream.
Friday the 13th, Scream, all
Freddy
of those.
Krueger.
So,
Yeah.
Art had the makings, or the first Terrifier had the makings of that, but where it differs is it's a little more intense. It's a little closer to torture porn than any of those others we've mentioned. Yeah, is there nudity and killing in those other ones? Yes, but I don't think any of it goes as far as the Terrifier movies, in terms of the killing, the actual gore. And that is why an argument, you can argue, is it a slasher or is it torture porn? Which one it really is it? You can make an argument that it is not a true slasher.
And that really was how we ended up going down that
Yeah.
rabbit hole because, there are so many aspects that it has those slasher ingredients to it, except that it was missing its final girl, initially. So now you have it, and it's sort of like, where's it going to go from there? But there are, like you said, torture porn aspects to it because there is a level of enjoyment that Art gets out of his kills more so than
Yeah, you
I
don't ever
think.
even see the facial expressions of Michael Myers, of Jason. You do of Freddy, but Freddy's more of a different kind of slasher because he's like in a dream world, you
But
know?
the other difference is all of our other slashers leading up to this, and correct me if I'm wrong, have some kind of revenge element to it. There's some kind
That
of
starts them
unfinished
off. Yeah.
business or whatever that draws them back into doing what they're doing. Whereas Art is just doing this for the pleasure of being sadistic. He's a demon. I mean, he's a demon
Yeah.
clown. So there's a little bit different of where his supernatural aspect of being a monster, what are we going to say, serial killer, slasher. I
But
mean, he's a
slashers are
little bit
supernatural.
different.
I guess that's why people do still try to group Art in with
They
the
do, but his
slashers.
supernatural is a little bit
More
different.
occult heavy than the
Yes,
other
that's what I'm trying to
supernaturals.
say. Thank you for
Right.
articulating that for me,
No, I
because
totally get what you're saying. Do want to correct myself. I didn't realize this. Apparently, they released it, the third movie, as unrated. So a lot of people don't see the R and think it's okay. First unrated
oh,
movie to ever be #1 at the box office. I didn't realize it wasn't. I thought it was R, but you're right. It kind of goes past what an R would. Okay. It being unrated allows them to go places a Michael Myers can't. So I guess they just don't see a rating and they're like, maybe it's okay, but it's definitely not okay.
but when I bought our tickets, there was a note on AMC theaters specifying that a child you needed to have appropriate adult supervision if you were going. Like, a child could not have gone in there, or like
Right.
they were cautioning them even if you brought a child in there,
But I
kind
think
of
people
thing.
might have seen that kind of warning and think like, okay, well, I've taken my kid to see Halloween 1978 and it was fine. Like, this is a different case, like
Well,
we're
they
saying, even
probably
if it's
also
even
probably
if
also
one's R rated and one's unrated, the way the person views it who hasn't seen it yet, they're thinking, oh, it's just going to be like another Halloween. Like, it's going to be in that
okay.
vein and my kid was fine. I think it's a misconception, I guess, on the
Well, I guess
person's part.
so. And I guess
Maybe.
maybe if they saw it is not even in the same category as Terrifier. I mean,
Right.
even though the clown, Pennywise, is grotesque in his own right. My thing is, parents, do your research. Just do your research. Like, people in general, do your research when you're going to see a film. I mean, because I've heard complaints about other films that are not on Terrify scale, that they had to walk out of the film because they weren't expecting to see this kind of scene. Well, it's
Uh-huh.
like, do your research, before you go in, have some kind of knowledge,
All
or
three
at
were
least
unrated.
go and figure out why it is R rated or unrated. Unrated doesn't mean that it's for general population. Otherwise, it
Right.
would have had a G rating on it.
Right.
Um, General audience or whatever.
Exactly. So me, where I land, I know you're not rating it. I think it was one of my favorite watches. I think what adds to it, I'm a little biased, is my experience with you seeing it in the theater.
Yeah.
just the fun experience of us reacting with each other and be like, oh, literally me saying holy shit when the dude in the bathroom, the rump kill. I literally have a place in my, I was showing Kat this, I have a place in my journal for it, and it's me and Kat taking a picture with the poster, and Kat's like, my arms are too short, and you flip it up, that was a rump kill. She literally whispered that to me. I will never forget it. So there's, if I wouldn't have seen it that way, would I have liked it as much? I don't know. But I do know that I will say Terrifier 3, unlike any of the other movies, made me want to cry. And for me to feel that way while also feeling horrified at other times, I thought it did such an effective job at freaking me out, but still having characters I cared about. It wasn't all just shock. I do think it did a good job with that. And when it comes to liking it more than 2, I think because I think things were a little more quicker. I agree with, in some ways, Cameron's bedroom criticism of the second one about how that went on a little too long. I thought it got cartoonish. I wasn't disturbed like Cameron was in terms
Right.
of the salt. Like by that
Well,
point, for me,
that's
it got
kind of how I was with the
cartoonish.
shower scene. The shower scene, I was like, okay. I mean, I watched up until the point that they had the peen destruction, but I'm just like, okay, enough is enough. Like how much, like literally you're about to make punch. I mean, it's like,
Yes.
at what point are you like, I mean, you've obliterated. I mean, there's nothing there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like at what point? So that to me, you're like belaboring the point of it. At that point, that's where you cross
No,
the
that
line
part doesn't bother
of
me either because it is cartoonish, like you said. But
yes,
what
it's just
isn't
but to me that's like where
is
it's
the
kind of
stuff
like
at the
over the
end.
top.
Right.
It's over the top kind of thing. But I don't know. For me, I just think Terrifier is horrific. Art the Clown continues to be the most off-putting, hideous, killer clown. I think they cross boundaries on how
But
far he's going to
effectively
go.
creepy.
Effectively, yes, effective. I mean, he's effective.
Yeah.
He's been like that for me since it's the combination mime clown combo that just oh um and the fact that I had to look away numerous times because I was like, I cannot, I'm in a movie theater. I can imagine what it would be like if I actually saw this in real life. If I actually witnessed something like this, it would be terrible. I liked it. It's not that I dislike it, which is kind of weird to say you like something like this, but
Yeah.
I liked it for the value of it as a movie in this franchise and to see where it's going to go. It was a little bit too much for me because of what I like to allow my brain to see, my eyeballs to
But
see.
here's my question. Do you think it was
But
more too much than 2?
I do. I do. Because for 2, I didn't have to look away quite as I think
Are you
also to the
sure?
stay.
I was with you. Are you sure?
I think the stakes were higher in 3 also, and
Upset you more?
and that's what I think it's not that I didn't care about Sienna and her family in the second one. You know how when you see something for the first time and you see it, and so it's just laid out for you. I need to see it again. I need to see
That's
2
why I'm
again
excited
to
for our
see
spoiler chat.
to see
Yeah.
if I'm going to have the same feeling for it. I felt like the stakes were higher in 3 and I felt like the characters were safer in 2. Does that make sense? I don't know. I just felt
No, I know
like
what you mean.
I
I think I know what
almost
you
feel
mean. There
like
was a
in
lot of depressing
3
stuff at the end of 3 that was very heavy and hard to absorb, and a feeling of hopelessness in a way, more
I
than the
just
ending of 2.
yes. I just think in 2 people you were like phew, people
Yes.
survive this. Okay, it's going to be okay kind of thing.
And it didn't
Whereas
feel
in
like it was gonna be
Terrifier
okay.
3,
Yeah.
it opens up even like I can't even believe it opened up and went where it went from the
Yes.
very
Not
beginning,
no one
which
is
I shouldn't have
safe.
been surprised. If you've seen All Hallows Eve and you know how that ends, I shouldn't have been surprised by it because of how Art feels about, you know, but I was just like, oh my gosh, if this is how this is going to start, I don't know, it's like no one was safe ever, you know?
I don't know, I kinda
I
like
don't
that,
know.
though. I thought
I don't
they took
know.
the criticisms and improved upon it, like,
I don't know.
some things, but I do understand where you're coming from. I am so intrigued once you and I rewatch it, how our actually, not just rewatch it, but try to rewatch all of them, see how everything evolves, and also, will my experience be lessened by not being with you in the theater? I don't know. It's gonna be great to do this spoiler chat. I'm very excited about it, and we've
Yeah, I'm
already talked
excited
about this
about
a
it
lot,
too.
so I don't wanna go too much more into detail because I know a lot of people here, not a lot, but I know Katrina said, "I'm saving it for holiday hell." I think Amy said, "Same, I will watch it in December, but I still need to see 2." So I will say we don't wanna go too much more into it because we're
Yeah,
gonna have a
no.
very long chat for that Terrifier
Now,
chat
one thing
too.
I will say that I was a little bit disappointed, and this might end up being why, is there is a character in 2 that did not make it into 3 that I was a little surprised
That
by.
I liked
So
that character,
I
yeah.
need to figure out what happened to that character in 2 because my memory is rusty on that as
I
to
do not
why
remember what happened to that
as to
character either.
why it did not transfer over to 3. And so that I think is why I'm a little more lenient because that character in 2 is equally off-putting as Art, if not more in some ways because of who it is,
Right.
that character. So I don't know if that is also it's sort of like I don't know. I need to watch them all again, just
So
not
do
because
I.
I want to torture myself.
We do the things we do for our channels and for
I know.
discussions. I love it though. I'm
It
excited.
for art, not Art the clown, but for the
For
art.
the art, like literally the art, not Art the clown. But yeah, overall, I'm
Um,
so glad we saw it together. Think we could both
yes.
agree on that. And this will lead us, unless you have more tidbits, I do
Yeah.
want to kind of go through the chat. But after I go through the
No.
chat, I do want us to go through our top tens or our rankings, as you said. We will
Yes.
do that in a second. Let me just make sure that I know there's a lot of guys, if I didn't get to your comment, I'm so sorry. It's not on purpose. I tried to put up a lot of them while we were talking. No one was safe in the third one. I agree. Terrifier 2's bedroom scene is definitely a bit excessive, and I can definitely understand why people aren't wild about it. There's a trimmed down version that probably is better. I agree, but I know that he had a lot of extra time to film that section of the movie because of things got stopped, I think, because of COVID at the time.
I think so, yeah.
Glad the director was able to release the version he wanted to as well without studios standing over him. That's the thing though, Mike, is I think it would have been shorter originally, even how he wanted it, but because he had all this extra time, he just kept working on that scene. And I
Mhm.
almost think he overworked that
Mhm.
scene. It didn't
It
disturb
it
me as
was
much
it
as it did
was
Cameron, but
it
yeah.
was it was one of those situations where less would have been better.
I think so too. I think so. Fave Tidbit is the guy who plays Art is from Huntsville, Alabama.
Yes.
That's awesome. I didn't actually know that. Lauren Lavera is Queen. Love her so much in these movies. Hope she has a long and fruitful career. I really do like
I
her.
do
Sienna's
too,
a
I like
great
her.
character.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Have a girl
agree.
crush on her. Travis says, dinner table scene in the college dining hall is awesome. She is so good. Let's be real. Best actor in the Terrifier movies was the mom. No. Current Hollywood crush. Really like the mom in Terrifier 2. You have to be joking. No. Like Clint Howard, Robux betraying the last name. Tom Savini rocks. Has a couple rough line readings. Overall, liked her. The mom.
Yeah.
Anyone who is watching Terrifier 2, make sure to stay because there is a post scene. That's right, guys. Make sure you watch through the credits. Anyone who's not seen 2 yet, because you can easily miss it if you don't know it's there. I recognized him, didn't put 2 and 2 together with him being Jason Patrick for some reason. Travis's least favorite scene. I love the shower scene. Got to see some rumps. Or are we talking about glass? Because the glass was uncalled for. I'm talking about the glass.
Oh,
I was
glass
alone in
was
the theater when
terrible.
the glass scene happened. I was
Oh
screaming,
my
no, 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 stop that
god.
young lady. No movie has ever made me legit sick or faint. Not yet
Yeah,
for me
same.
either.
Not for me either.
Here's my dad. There's some great jump scares in Terrified, not related to Terrifier franchise. 2017 Shutter original from Argentina. And I actually have seen
Ooh.
that movie, Dad, and it is a really good movie.
Ooh, I'll have to
So,
write that down.
yeah, you should watch that one, Kat. It is creepy. I remember being really creeped out by that one. I would love to hear what you think about it if you watch it. Cineverse, the producer co-behind Terrifier, is rebooting. Oh, this is interesting. Rebooting Silent Night, Deadly Night, which I've actually never seen the original.
I have never seen the original either.
I've seen parts of 2 with Garbage Day, like the scene where he's like, Garbage Day, which I love, but I've never seen the original. Kid opening the present. Oh my god, yes, I know. I can't believe they went there.
No.
I get it, but Art is a killer clown. He's supposed to be demented. That's true.
Yeah, I get it.
Currently dying, sorry. We've been talking for 2.5 hours. Thank you guys for being here, by the way.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We never have short chats. We're just letting you know.
Me and Kat were like, no way, right? And then it happened. We were like, there's no way they just did that. I thought it was going to be like a dream sequence. Only jumped once at Terrifier 3. It was the dining room table when someone popped up. I wasn't expecting that. Terrifier 1 is devoid of characters. I truly believe this. That's why, Mike, I think that one's my least favorite. It feels like numbing violence after a while. I agree with this take. Recent rewatch was kind to T1, but the disparity in quality between the first and the sequels is unparalleled in the genre right now. Like, they did up the quality so much from 1 to 2.
Well, yeah, and I think it's because people are taking notice and he's able to get the funding he needs. You know,
yeah, because art became
a lot
popular.
of that was like Kickstarter stuff because that's how Ray got involved in it. He's part of the Kickstarter for when the franchise started.
Honestly, the worst part of Terrifier 1 is what he did in that pizza bathroom. That was gross. And that happens in All Hallows as well. All Hallows Eve, whatever the heck.
Yeah.
I think Leone took character critiques to heart after the first film, and that's why there is such a hard shift between the first and then 2 and 3. For me, that's a happy byproduct of taking criticism. Agree. The story stuff in 2 and 3 feels earned within those 2 movies. The first feels like elongated short film, whereas 2 and 3 feel like fully formed stories. Also agree. And the end of Terrifier 3 is mean.
Yeah.
I agree with Cameron, and with the rest of the slasher elements not working for me either. Really makes the series not fun for me, but I like hearing you all chat about it. So Cameron thought he was not going to see 3. But then he saw 3 and he really likes 3. He thinks 3 is so much better than 2 in terms of he thought that the kills were quicker. It's not that he has no qualms with 3, but that he wasn't as disturbed by it as he was with the scene in the bedroom. Just that he was taking such pleasure in the torture of it. He still takes pleasure in torture, but I think it was just quicker, and that made it better for Cameron. Curious about how the third one ended. That's the only thing that bothered me about the movie. I will discuss that in the spoiler chat. Yeah, I think rewatching the others might help as well before I have this chat so that I can talk about the ending a little.
Yeah, I would recommend to anyone that has not seen the franchise, you know, you might want to go back and even take a look at All Hallows Eve and see it's a different actor playing Art the Clown, but still effective. The makeup is so good of how they do it that you really can't tell the difference between them, honestly. I mean, I didn't know it until I did the fun facts when we were watching it or whatever. But I would recommend, if you can handle, going back and refresh your memory if it's been a while, just so you kind of know what we're talking about, because we're going to, you know,
be fresh. It's going to be fresh for us.
And I mean, check out the chat that Kelsey and I also had, because our thinking could change a little bit from what we had discussed at, you know, about.
We're going to rewatch that chat and see, like, literally call ourselves out. Like, you know, I thought this back then, and now my thinking's completely different, or whatever.
And I mean, you got to keep in mind too, when Kelsey and I saw the first one, we didn't even see All Hallows Eve. We didn't see it in the order. We saw Terrifier 1 based on a recommendation to us, and watching it like was just horrific in general because we had never seen anything like it before. So now that we have something to compare it to, our thoughts about the first one are going to be different overall.
Exactly. One character death that bothered me, I agree. I hope it's not real. We'll see. Would be like bringing kids to the last house on the left. I agree. I think they see the merchandising of art without doing any research. That is probably the case. I think post 2000, we've really only had Jigsaw and art. The collector should have been a new icon. They release unrelated, so a lot of people don't see the art and think it's okay. First unrated movie. Oh yeah, I already read this, but this is such a great point to reemphasize. Let me see. I read some of these. To be fair, especially something like the original Halloween, Myers has no motive. He's just stalking and killing people. That is kind of true, but it's revealed later there's a bigger motive. And he does go home to his childhood home, sees
Yes.
Lori, and kind of loms on to her throughout
Yes.
that day. So there's
It's
kind of,
almost
in a
like
way, a motive.
he went back home because he had unfinished business. Like, remember, the reason he's put in the facility is because of what he does to his sister. You know, so to me, his motivation always seemed to be able to get back home and finish what he started. Unfortunately, he's been gone for so long that he's in a different place. What he thought, I guess, he was going to finish wasn't available to finish, except for Laurie Strode.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on. People are desensitized, need unrated to feel anything. Saw the same thing happen when parents just took their kids to see Deadpool. Pool. Parents don't do research. They think, oh, it's just a superhero film. It's all good for Timmy. Experiencing it alone, Terrifier 3, in the theater was definitely part of my enjoyment because I got to talk and scream. I literally said holy shit out loud, and I was like, no, holy shit, ah! Like I was saying, and then Kat was saying, this is a rump kill, and I can't believe, I think the people in front of us probably heard her say that. It was great. I don't know if they could hear you say it, but it would.
I do
in my
know
mind,
people,
I want to imagine they heard you.
We had more people in our theater, and we also seemed like there were other people kind of like squirming a little bit more than our last event.
And two, people were just like stoic. I'm like, what is wrong with these people in front of us?
Yeah, and they hardly had anybody in there.
The kills near the end were sad. Agree. Haven't seen 2 or 3 yet. Think of someone got art. A good dentist, he'd probably stop killing people. He's just upset about his teeth. I'm more worried about his bladder.
So
pee shouldn't be chunky. I forgot that he had chunky pee. Man needs IV fluids. Chunky pee, gross. What? Ending of Terrifier 3 is so cold. Agree. Hard to explain, Tanya, without watching it. Third act is absolutely breakneck pace. Agree. And I did love the opening because it went there, but I was also horrified at the opening at the same time.
Oh my gosh. So
I just know I'm never seeing this series. It's a little hardcore, Tanya.
It is. I would not recommend it to just anybody. I mean, I really honestly wouldn't recommend it to anybody, to be quite honest. But I mean, if you can handle extreme horror, then take a peek.
Matthew, I'm not trying to convince you, but the only thing I think changes from All Hallows, I do love All Hallows Eve more than Terrifier 1, but what 2 and 3 does, even apart from All Hallows Eve, is have something, like kind of Mike said earlier, to grab onto, to get invested in, some characters that you actually care for, and some light at the end of the tunnel, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand what you mean about being so over the top, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The actor who plays Art, one thing he will never do in the movie is anything that involves him sexually assaulting someone, he said that? That's really cool. I like that.
I think that may have been what was so upsetting.
About the glass?
Yeah. I'm going to have to do a little more research on it when we get to where we can do spoiler stuff. So.
Right. Not my kind of movies. Totally understand, Mindy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really not my kind of movie either, honestly, but I don't know. We went down this rabbit hole, and I'm going to see it to the end.
Maybe number 4 is going to be like Easter, Amy. I don't know. But I kind of hope it returns to Halloween, because to me, it started most of it takes place in Halloween. Most of his lore, his movies. This one was fun to like venture into a Christmas territory, and I thought it was great setting. Really well done. Really kind of added to it. But I do think it would be great to end back in Halloween time, in a Halloween setting, personally. I don't know. What do you think about that specifically, Kat, that question?
I was a little surprised and somewhat disappointed that it wasn't Halloween, only because the whole premise of him is that he comes out at Halloween. That's like his day kind of thing, like at the beginning, like when you first had Terrifier, that was sort of the premise of it, was that he was this entity that came out on Halloween to do his dastardly deeds or whatever. And the only reason I think he ended up being in Christmas was because there's the part where it's kind of like they're in a hibernation state in that house.
Yes,
and so
I think
maybe
it was a hibernation.
it's like it bypassed Halloween or whatever, and
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't supposed they weren't supposed to hibernate that long. I don't know, and that's when he came into the I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is with that. I'm gonna see if I can do some research and find out why he decided to have it more of a, being in the Christmas. I don't know. I personally prefer it to be Halloween. That's
I
just me.
prefer it to be Halloween, but I didn't mind at first
Yeah,
I
I
was
mean, it
bothered
wasn't
by the
terrible.
idea, but once I saw the execution, I kind of liked it.
I mean, I do like what happened with the Santa Claus in the barn.
That was one of my favorite scenes, was the bar. Totally agree about the bedroom scene. There's a better version that is shorter. Just love seeing the raw version. Oh, yeah, totally. No, I like the comments.
Yes, we do.
Silent Night, Deadly Night's good. I don't know why I haven't seen it. I
I have
really should
never
put the
seen
first
it.
one on my list.
I probably should watch it this Christmas,
Should
huh?
I just add it if you're going to add it? I
I'll have to
guess.
see. It's the original, correct? That's what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
the original.
I haven't watched any of those.
Let me take a little sidebar and put up Andrew's comment. Andrew, is 2 the one, which one just recaps scenes of sex scenes, like lesbian sex scenes? Which one is that? Because that's the one I saw parts of. I stopped watching and just fast forwarded to Garbage Day. I think it was 2. Is that 2, or is that also in 1? I thought that part was dumb. I mean, I'm way older now. Like, maybe I wouldn't care as much, but that's what kind of turned me off. And I don't think I even ever tried to watch 1. I just watched some parts of 2, and I think that was in 2, and that part turned me off. And I was thinking it was going to be so much better because I knew about Garbage Day before I ever saw any of the things. I just saw Garbage Day, like, online, and that's what made me want to watch it. And then I started to watch it, and I was like, this is what this is? Anyway, tell me if I'm wrong. Is that 1 or 2 that I'm thinking of, please? I have no idea, honestly. Director of Terrified also did When Evil Lurks, and that movie is incredible. At Kelsey's dad. I don't know if I've seen When Evil Lurks. I'm going to write that down. I really like Terrified, so I didn't know about When Evil Lurks, I don't think. I'm going to circle that. Thank you, Mike, for telling me about that. It's another good one, says Tanya. I'm going to have to add it to next year. Y'all got to see Silent Night, Deadly Night, guys. It's so much fun. I met the guy who was the killer, and he's a sweetheart.
Oh.
The Sonic the Hedgehog, they Sonic the Hedgehogged the Terrifier movies. I'm sorry for the deluge of messages. No, I like them.
We like it. We like the participation.
We're passionate about it, too. That's why we're talking so long about it. Also, if you don't want to see the kills, there are plenty of react channels on YouTube that watch them and blur the gore. It's a great way to refresh. Oh, that's a good idea. Not for me, but because I kind of want to be really, really fresh and stuff.
Yes, I do.
Do you know when you're going to do the spoiler chat? I would say late. Did we say January? We said December.
We talked about December, but I think part of it was we need to find out. Part of it is streaming release. They've got streaming release dates, and some of it is depending on how long it's staying in the theater. So I might end up having to go see it in the theater again if it's still in the theater. 3.
But do you think that should affect?
I think they're also releasing the DVD. I think they're releasing the DVD before they're doing the streaming. So I hate to buy the movie, but
I like to. I would be fine with buying it.
Oh, I'm talking about number 3.
I'm talking about all of them.
Oh, yeah.
I'd buy all of them. Maybe not one, but I mean, if it came in a set.
If it came in a set, yeah.
I
don't know. I have to see. I need to see it, but we need to talk about when we want to.
Yeah, Kelsey so Amy, I'm sorry we don't have a good.
We don't have a good date, and part of it is because we are still researching. Like we're still trying to figure out when they're releasing stuff. One website said
November 24th, but I don't know if it's still doing so good in the theaters. If they're going to go to streaming that, but I think it was a Screen Rant article that said the 24th. Does anybody know about the release date? Anybody else watching right now know about that? Because I want to give people the whole thinking me and Kat are having. We want to give other people time, since it is such a Christmassy movie, to watch it in December. I don't want it early December if we are going to do the chat in December. Another option is, do we wait till January to do our spoiler chat after December is completely over to give people the whole month? Also, that would give us a whole month because we've got all these Christmas movies. When are we going to rewatch Terrifier?
Right.
You know, I didn't think about that till just now. Maybe we should kind of do it for like mid-January so that everyone has watched it by then.
Yeah.
and so that we don't have to cram
It
Terrifier
doesn't make
movies
it.
in
That's true. It doesn't make a
to
difference to
Christmas.
me. It doesn't make a difference to me when we do it. I
Well, I
just
don't
do
think you want to
think
watch the movies in December, I don't think.
not if I'm trying to do my movies that I'm planning on
Exactly, and that's what
watching.
I'm trying to do. So let's just say now we're going to make it in January, mid-January. That gives
Yeah.
everybody all of December to watch either either 3 or 2 and 3 if they need to.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can't go much longer, guys, because I think I've got to make stuff and Paul's exercising. But I do want us to go over our rankings and stuff. So, guys, I'm so
Okay.
sorry for not getting all the comments, but Art as a bunny, an Easter bunny would be hilarious and amazing. Hold on one second. I also saw another thing I wanted to. So, the Silent Night, Deadly Night lesbian clips from the Nun place is in the both of them, but 40% of movie number 2 is recapping movie number 1. So they have a lot of that like in a condensed
Oh
scene at
gosh.
the beginning. I think that's what turned me off is because it was like so much of the beginning of 2 was that.
Yeah.
So if it's just a little bit of 1, I guess that's fine. But not that it matters. I'm like way older now, but I just remember being like, I thought this was something different. I don't know. And I was like, this is not that great. Anyway.
Okay. So you want to do yours first?
I'm feeling better, thank you. Oh wait, you mean Kat? Are you feeling better, Kat?
Oh, I am feeling a little bit better. I mean, than I have been, and I didn't go to the doctor.
Good. Terrifier 4, Arbor Day, or Thanksgiving. Art scalps everyone. No, that's horrible.
That would be terrible.
All right, so you go first.
Okay. So my number 10 was Viking Wolf. My number 9 was Bubba Ho Tep. My 8 was Scary Movie. My 7 was Mr. Boogedy. 6 was We Have a Ghost. 5 was The Monster Club. 4 was Monster Summer with Mel Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
3 was The Babysitter. 2017. I just enjoyed myself. Now, The Babysitter and Cobweb could have been either or 2 and 3, but I went ahead and put The Babysitter for 3 because Cobweb was so much more atmospheric and Halloween related. So that's why I put it in the 2 spot.
I'm making a note of The Babysitter for the future.
Oh yeah, I liked it. And there's a second one, and we actually were going to watch the second one. We didn't know it was a sequel. And my son Barry said, "Oh no, you got to watch the first one." So that's how we watched the first one. But I enjoyed it. So that's my number 3. Cobweb is 2 because it's a little more atmospheric and Halloween. And my number 1 was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I like your ranking. Very interesting there. And I have your full list up so people could just see your full list of movies there as you were ranking them. Me, I've got it kind of broken up a little bit differently. So I told you my torn was The Lords of Salem. My 2 least favorites, just to recap, Scary Movie from 1991 and the original The Hills Have Eyes. My favorite rewatches, number 5, Phantasm 2. It was fun to see in a group watch setting. Number 4, The Hills Have Eyes from 2006, so the remake. Love it. Still freaks me out, still gives me goosebumps, still makes me upset and scared. One of the very, very few movies that makes me feel that way. I've seen it 1,000 times, it feels like, but it's still effective for me. So I enjoyed watching it. I was home alone, and if I was freaked out. Number 3, favorite rewatch, Something Wicked This Way Comes. No other movie does a fall atmosphere better, in my opinion, and it's one of the best book to movie adaptations of all time. Number 2 favorite rewatch, Troll 2. It was so bad, but it's always so bad, it's so good. But it was even better this time because I got to watch it in a Discord group watch, and there were people in there who had never seen it before, and it was so much fun to see the reactions of people never having experienced some of the scenes before. It was 10 out of 10, amazing.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. And number 1 was Possession from 1980. I love that movie so much. Like I said earlier, just to reiterate, it's amazing. It's not for everybody. It's not traditional possession, but it is fantastic. Also, honorable mention shout out to Halloween 1978 and Halloween Town, which I love both. Also, we rewatched the Halloween Tree and I loved that. So, but that's more than 5. But I loved all my rewatches. I'm sorry. And my top 5 new watches. Number 5, Demonic Toys. It was so ridiculous and funny. Great movie group watch. It was so funny. Kat, I wish you would
I'm
have been there.
disappointed. I'm disappointed that I missed that one. If I would have had more time, I was going to watch that one because I thought that one would have been
Yes.
one that would have been absurd. But
There's a cursing baby doll, and I've got like some quotes from him in my journal, and it says, "Hi, wait, no, I can walk, I can talk, I can even shit my pants." Baby Oopsie Daisy, yes, Baby Oopsie Daisy is amazing. Demonic Toys was fun, says Amy. I loved it. Also, Troll 2 is the best. Agree. So that was number 5, Demonic Toys. Number 4, Terrifier 3. I really loved it. It made it my top 5.
oh wow.
The experience was incredible. Number 3, City of the Living Dead. This is a movie directed by Lucio Fulci. Incredible gore effects. Literally, there was a part that made me want to barf more than Terrifier 3.
Oh wow.
And I have recommended this movie to you, Kat. I still stand by that, even with the part that almost made me barf, because it's a great zombie film. It's wonderful in terms of the effects, and it actually has kind of a logical story. Some Fulci movies, you will find like a thread of logic in the story, and others you cannot. And yes, Andrew, that is the scene. Yes, that scene almost got me. I was like, oh shit, I can't watch this. Number 2, a movie that wasn't even on my list, Long Legs. I watched it with Benjamin and Cameron, and it was amazing. It was so awesome.
I'm so jealous that you got to see it because you know I love Nick Cage.
I didn't even realize it was him. I didn't even know it was him.
I wanted to see it in the theater when I was like, oh, I want to go see it, and I did not. I was not able to.
So you haven't seen it?
I have not, and I want to see it.
It's kind of like, not everything makes perfect sense. It's kind of artsy.
It's Nick Cage.
And also it's kind of campy and over the top at times, but that's what I liked about it. There were times where Benjamin, Cameron, and I laughed, and there's times where I literally screamed. Like, I went, ah! Not like, ah! Like, it wasn't a loud scream, but I was like, ah! Jump scare.
So I would like to see it. I really would.
I didn't know anything going into it, and I think that was the way to experience it. And my number 1, Inferno, directed by Dario Argento. I said that earlier, but fantastic in terms of artistic value. No one does lighting better. No one does like freaking cinematography better than his movies, in my opinion. I loved it.
Well, so, and people will notice I didn't have Terrifier 3 anywhere in my ranking, and that is because I have not rated it. I'm on the fence about it, and I can't rank it if I haven't rated it. So, and it's not that I disliked it. I don't want anybody to think I disliked it.
I'm really excited to see like your more intense thoughts in the spoiler chat. I'm so excited. We'll see if you have a rating by then. If you can
I will have to make myself do it. But I think what it is I'm kind of like at a crossroads, I think, because of what my rating is for Terrifier 2. I don't know if I can, how I'm gonna justify it, and maybe it'll end up being the same, and just one will be better than the other when it comes to the ranking of those movies. Because I guess we will rank those movies. Okay.
In the franchise, when we get we will. I want to do that for sure. I want to go from like least favorite to favorite. I will say my scream of Long Legs is in the vlog. Like I kind of jump in the vlog. Andrew's reminded me because he watched it earlier today and commented on it. It is in the vlog, and it is a lot of fun. Watched stop motion today. There were a few scenes that made me sick. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Love Long Legs, my fave of the year.
Ooh,
made me barf 5 stars. The puke scene for the City of the Living Dead, Matthew. God. It was hard to watch. Had a jump scare that shook the whole audience in the screening. There's jump scares in that movie that got me. I really enjoyed it. Y'all got me wanting to watch another movie after this. Much like the film itself, Terrifier 3 is unrated. Surprise, Kat, I got you an Art the Clown cutout as part of your goodies in the box I'm sending you. Yay! Also following you guys on Letterboxd. Thank you. We'll follow back.
Yes, we definitely will. When we have these chats, it makes me, first of all of y'all's comments in the chat of different movies that y'all are recommending. Like I make my list, and then us talking about our movies just makes me so much more excited about watching my movies. You know what I'm
It
saying?
just makes
It's
me
like,
excited about talking about movies, watching movies, what I
yes,
already watched. It just brings so much extra joy and
it
elements to it. So
does.
thanks guys spending almost 3 hours with us. I know this is one of our longest chats ever, but I'm so grateful to all of you for hanging out, for sharing your opinions. I'm sorry if I missed any of your comments along the way. I tried to pop them up or get back to them, but you know, we had a lot to cover, and this was just some minimal chat. You know, I
Yeah.
think I'd love to do a Christmas one too,
Mhm.
similar with some
Yes.
movies if you're
Yes, I
up
think it
for
would be
that.
oh, yeah, definitely. That's why I need to take a look at what you're watching, and I know one of them that we will be talking about.
Someone mentioned it earlier when we were talking about scary stories to tell in the dark. They said my favorite movie directed by him is Troll Hunter.
Yes,
So we
so
will
that
be watching Troll Hunter,
and
guys, and chatting.
will be more than just Christmas films. We do have some holiday films. It's gonna be
Yes,
holiday horror.
so we were thinking of a Thanksgiving film we're gonna watch. We also are gonna be watching some winter movies, not just
Mhm.
Christmas-y
Mhm.
movies. Amy, by the way, like I said, I think we're leaning towards January now. At least I am. I don't know, Kat, we still have to talk about it, but I'm leaning towards January for the spoiler chat.
I think so too. I just would hate for people to miss out on having an opportunity to go see Terrifier, or if it streams or whatever.
Exactly. I think this
Yeah.
gives everyone enough time to do what they have to do so that they can participate in the spoiler chat.
Yeah,
All right,
I
guys.
agree.
So yeah, pencil in sometime in January. We will tell you a certain day when we get closer. 1,000% the reason I'm a movie lover now. Yay! I'm so glad. Also, Travis was joking about the cutout of our thing. Thank you for hanging in the chat. I know you don't love Terrifier, but it was really
Yeah,
great
we
that you still
appreciate it, Andrew. Thank
participated.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. You're the best. Thank you, Amy, for hanging and for playing some of these movies for us on the Discord.
Yes.
You are the best. I love you. Thanks, Travis. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody. I know Mindy was here earlier. We had Halko and Ash. Thank you so much, guys. 3 hours is a long time. I was so happy to spend it with Kat and you guys. Thank you,
Yeah.
Vanessa, too. I love all you guys. Happy movie
Bye.
watching, happy book reading, and thank you so much again. Bye.